Hello, 1 2 1 2 3. Testing 1 2. Just if you're in the room, if you're one of those three fuckers in here, just say you can hear me. Just say you can hit yes or no. That's all I need. We're not starting just yet. I just want to check that the mic is working. Fine, we're going to be like that. Hello, hello. Yes, is it working? Just don't give me hello. Is it all working? That is the answer. I hear. Fantastic. We will start after this absolute banger.
Whores in this house, there's some whores in this house, there's some whores in this house, there's some whores in this house.
I said certified free, 7 days a week, wet ass pussy, make that pull out game weak. Yeah, just fucking this wet ass pussy. Beat it up, nigga, catch a charge, extra large and extra hard. Put this pussy right in your face, swipe your nose like a credit card. Hop on top, I wanna ride, I do a kegel, roll inside, spit in my mouth, look in my eyes, pussy is wet, come take a dive. Tie me up like I'm surprised, that's roleplay, I wear disguise. I want you to park that Big Mac truck right in this little garage. Make it cream, make me scream, I don't public, make a scene. I don't cook, I don't clean, but let me tell you, I got this ring.
Gobble me, swallow me, drip down inside of me, quick jump out for you, let it get inside of me. I tell them where to put it, never tell them where I'm about to be. I run down on them boy, I have a nigga running me, talk your shit, bite your lip, ask for a call while you ride that dick. You really ain't never got a fucking for a thing. You already made his mind up before he came. Now get your boots, hang your coat for this wet ass pussy. He bought a phone just for pictures of this wet ass pussy. Pay my tuition just to kiss me on this wet ass pussy. Now make it rain if you wanna see some wet ass pussy.
Look, I need a hard hit, I need a deep stroke, I need a Henny drink, I need a weed smoke, not a garden snake, I need a king cobra with a hook in it, hope to lean over. He got some money, then that's where I'm headed. Pussy A1, just like his credit. He got a beard, and I'm tryna wet it. I let him taste it, now he diabetic. I don't wanna spit, I wanna go, I wanna gag, I wanna choke, I want you to touch that little dangly thing that's slinging the back of my throat. My hickey is fire, the 90 the sun is going and drying, it's coming outside, yeah, I run on that thing, like the cuz behind me, I spit on his mic, and I heat tryna sign me.
Your Honor, I'm a freak bitch, handcuffs, leashes, switch my wig, make him feel like he cheating. Put him on his knees, give him something to believe in. Never lost a fight, but I'm looking for a beat. In the food chain, I'm the one that eat you. If he ate my ass, he's a bottom feeder. Big D stand for big demeanor, I can make you bust before I ever meet you. If it don't hang, then it can't bang. You can't hurt my feelings, but I like pain. If you fuck me and ask who's is it, when I ride the dick, I'ma spell my name.
Yeah, you fucking with some wet ass pussy. In the bucket, in the mouth, with this wet ass pussy. Give me everything you got with this wet ass pussy. Now from the top, make it drop, that's some wet ass pussy. Now get a bucket and a mop, that's some wet ass pussy. I'm talking wop, 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 that's some wet ass pussy. Macaroni in a pot, that's some wet ass pussy, huh?
Yo! Should have thought this through. Put this over here. Right. Okay. Now, I will be moving stuff. I will be moving y'all around because I'm going to be using the. I'm going to be using the big TV. I'm going to be using the screen. What is that going on there? There's a. Oh, it might just be on my screen. I don't know. Let's get a bit of light. Let's get a bit more light in here. Not too much. We don't want to go mental. We don't want the picture quality to get too fucking high. There you go. Let's try if I can move in there. Yeah, see, I've got a spotlight now. See? Don't even... See? People waste their money on all this fucking high production shit. Now. DJ, didn't see you there. Hello, sir. Let's do a bit of housework here. Here we go. Right. So, how are we all? We all good? Come on, it's it's Wednesday night, Wednesday party night. It's fucking Wednesday. We all know how the song goes. Fuck, Are there any Wednesday songs? I don't know. A 12-hour Twitter ban. Oh my god, man. How are you alive? Hey, boss man. What is the point? I mean, is there anything fucking more pointless than a 12-hour Twitter ban? It really does seem kind of fucking, yeah. But the thing is, that is the kind of thing I've legit seen fucking people like Crowder and Rubin and others fucking literally sort of go on about like get like a 12-hour ban and go on like they've literally just been like they're Nelson Mandela fucking, for the. So you don't need they don't need much. It's almost like these people are just desperate to be fucking victims. I don't know. Anyway. So I don't know. So don't forget to do all the stuff. You got to like, hit the bell, comment and share and all that shit. See, I don't want to feel like I don't want to have wasted. Well, I didn't pay for these, but I would have done if I had. You're right to swing my fists at the... Yeah, but that's the thing, isn't it? It's all like... every time I fucking post a quote reply, or I quote tweet someone, and I use the word fuck, or cunt, or fucking cunt, Twitter will say, are you sure you want to send this message? We have rules. I'm like, shut up. I thought Daddy Elon. I thought everything was all go. I thought it was free for all under Daddy Elon. No. Well, that serves you right, mate, for wasting your goddamn time. You don't need to argue with TERFs. They're just too easy to insult. See You see, because this is the hey Amy. See, this is the thing. You've got to. This is the. TERFs give you. As a man, right? You have the. You are built-in unique ability to be able to abuse and offend and demean women because it's been easily bred into you and into the culture. So all you've got to do is just take advantage of this to let off some steam and know that you can get away with it, and that no one's going to care. No super chat. I'm not monetized, DJ, so I haven't been monetized for that. YouTube took away all my money. It wasn't bad enough. I haven't had a fucking video monetized on this channel since, well, not even just on this channel. I haven't had this, but I haven't had a video monetized, a YouTube video, since 2016. That was the last time I actually had ads on a video. But YouTube decided to say, no, we're going to take away any other form of. We've spoken to the accountants and we've determined that it's we can survive without our cut of your super chats, Dick. The amount of money we were making with you on every decade has been determined to be what statisticians refer to as negligible data. Fuck them. To be honest, super chats are quite. I mean, super chats are unless you've got like you get like several fucking, unless you get like a couple of thousand people in your chat. Super chats are just really, then they're a fucking good. Hey John, then you know, super chats are a good fucking, are a proper swizz. What was his name? That fucking, what was that geezer? That, you know, Andy Warski. He used to do that fucking internet blood sports, fucking, which is just a load of cunts screaming at each other on a live stream, which is this what we've been doing for decades. But he called it internet blood sports, which was funny just because he didn't realise the initials are IBS, and he was making fucking, he was making five to 7 grand on super chats, you know. On that shit, you know. But that's all it is, you know. But that's, yeah, but I mean, it's all it is. You know, one thing that annoys me is when I see people talk about like the commentary community, like the, you know, when commentary videos took off, and they always credit it. You know, the person they always credit it to are people like Leafy in Twitter. I'm like, no, it's just response videos. It's not commentary. It's what we were doing on this. It's what we would do. It's what everyone who was on this website in 2007 was doing. If you lack dignity and shame, well, you know, it doesn't always take that. You know, I mean, I definitely lack dignity and shame. You know, but that's genetic. That's in my family. We are the real OGs. You know, we are you know, are the midgets who, upon whose shoulders the giants upon whose the current crop of YouTubers stand. You know, we're like one of those fucking, you know, weird obscure prog rock bands that like you have to actually like that. You know, we're not like, you know, that no one's ever actually, no one normal was heard of. You know, but you might get mentioned by a band that's actually popular. You know. Well, I've got to be too careful. Well, last time in the last live stream when I was screaming, the fucking my Lavalier mic, ooh, fucking cut off. You know, not sure what we're going to watch there. You know, and the screaming at twats title has no bearing on anything I've planned. We don't, do we, Lewis? You know, we morally we own this fucking song. The quartering one, you know, oh god, that guy. I mean, yeah, but I mean, there's loads of people. I mean, to be fair, I mean, he's not the worst. I mean, you know, I mean, nowadays there's loads of channels that just that you know, that you know, I mean, there's what's known as content farms, you know, which are basically people who just pump out videos that, you know, are as basic as they can get, but they can do them in a fucking, they can do them like, you know, quite, and they you know, they get lots of views, and they, you know they're generally covering subjects that have been covered by a million other people, so they don't have to do any fucking research. You know, you fell asleep during the last stream. You come in here and you tell me shit like that. Oh, I wouldn't mind, but the last live stream was me doing my was me you know, trying to sort of field testing my idea for, you know, a new podcast, which is deliberately, you know, was meant to be the anti-ASMR fucking podcast. What's called the Mesophonics Anonymous, and you fell asleep during it, which is what you're not supposed to do. So this is what's happened. So my audience are so conditioned to you actually fucking, you actually fall asleep, you know, you actually find my staccato git voiced fucking, you know, somewhat relaxing. That, you know, that's like when you take a drug. That's like when you take so much of a certain drug, it starts having the opposite effect. Well, I mean, to be fair, I mean, it's not that, you know, lav mics don't all sound like crap. I mean, cheap ones do. This was only like 40 quid, but I mean, you know, I mean, they're used by lots of, you know, lots of other people, and they, you know, they seem to work quite well. But I mean, those things cost. That's because they cost several £100s, because apparently if you pay more for something you get a better quality product, which I just think is stupid. Now, you had an espresso a little while ago. Oh fucking God almighty. God, we're so old. Oh, I had a fucking Lucozade earlier. I'm, full of pep, In the old days, it would be like, oh, I did 2 grams of Charlie before I came out. I'll be fine for a portion. Now it's like, oh mate, I've had a swig of a cap full of Prime. Modern YouTubers. Well, I mean, people say modern YouTube, but people have been saying that. I've been here since 2000 fucking. Well, I mean, making videos since 2008. I've been doing. I was here from 2006. But people have always every couple of years, people start talking about talking about YouTube nowadays. People were saying in 2010, it's not as good as it used to be. And it's just you're just sounding and people just sound like bloody they're what I call internet boomers. They're people who can't let go of all the shit from back then, And it's like, you've got to move on, mate. You've got to move on. It's over. It was good. It was fun while it lasted. You were there. Wind in your hair. We were there. We remember it all too well. But you've got to fucking, everyone's getting old, mate. That doesn't mean, new does not mean best. Old does not mean dead. And no hard feelings, but I'm tired of being right about every fucking thing I've said. I wouldn't say so much Wild West. I mean, it just wasn't, people didn't know what it was going to be back then, so you could get away with a lot more shit, Well, I mean, to be fair, John, look whose channel you're on saying that. I mean, I'm not going to fucking sit here and I'm not going to sit here and mock someone because their popularity dropped off to what it was 15 years. I've literally got a channel. The channel I'm on literally has 1/10 of the subscribers that I had in 2010. So. But I mean, it doesn't mean you can't make something of it. You can, it all goes round, doesn't it? Hey, Turnip, yeah, it all goes. Have I heard about water talk? Well, I know about I'm familiar with in terms of these new age fuckers, who are I've been watching you since 2012. Ah, see, you joined in just after I stopped being funny. I've been phoning it in since then. Don't worry, it was still good. It just it was in my prime. Back just before then. But yeah, I'm familiar with the new age concepts of connected to water, like fucking like raw water, which is I mean, TikTok is a fucking is something I just. It's not that I don't get, I'm fine with it. I don't have a problem with it. It's just it's not a platform I can fucking, I would be any good at, Overall health, well, I'm alive. That'll do, Wake up in the morning, yes, made it again. That'll do for me. 2009 for you, yeah. Well, it was a good year, The whole Captain Awesome. Oh, that was fucking, Oh yeah, I remember the captain. Oh God, I fucked your girlfriend. My cock was. Oh, it was classic. It was a Questioned your homophobia, nationalism. That'll do, Glad to have been of service, Hey, I did a Venom Fang. Don't bring up Venom Fang X. I did a Venom Fang X. I did a fucking 70 odd minute bloody Venom Fang X pissing video just last summer. You're from Serbia. Well, there you go. Well, thank you for that film. That, you know, I've never got over. You know. You remember that woman who ran that kids' company? No, I ain't got a clue. I wasn't the first to notice Pat Condell. I was, you know, there had been a couple of people. There had been people who, you know, but I was the first sort of user of some what was back then reasonable fucking popularity in, you know. There had been people who had, you know, well, I don't know Serbia. It's just that the first time as soon as I hear Serbia, I hear Serbian film, and then I want to die. You know. Yeah, napalm, old napalm, and all the you know. I remember that was one of the times that pissed me off. I remember in 2013 being, you know, I found someone had uploaded onto YouTube. In its entirety, right? You know, the unedited, uncensored version of a Serbian film that wasn't legally supposed to be released, but it was on YouTube. And when you clicked on it, all that came up was a thing saying this video has been rated not suitable for people under 18. And I was like, are you fucking joking me? At this point, I'd lost 2 fucking channels, right? My content is I get banned twice. You know, I've had dozens of videos flagged and removed for fucking various reasons. But fucking newborn porn can fucking sit there, and it just, you know, it's not suitable for kids. Apart from the ones that are getting arse raped in the film. Thunderfoot hated me. What sparked our feud? Nothing sparked our feud. You know, Thunderfoot was just started making videos that I, you know, that I found objectionable. I made video responses to him, and he didn't like that, you know, because I was a bit of a and let's be fair, I don't blame him, you know. I treated him with the same level of contempt and disrespect and, you know, lack of disdain that I do most of the people I respond to, you know. And what you got to understand about Thunderfoot was that, you know, you know, and I don't know whether this is still true because I don't follow the guy. I don't want to judge, you know. We all move on. But the thing about Thunderfoot is that he has no sense of humour whatsoever, right? Particularly when it comes to himself. And so the fact that I was just ridiculing him, I was making fun of him and ridiculing him, and, you know, and I was, you know, not to blow my own trumpet, quite good at it. He, you know, didn't like, you know, he took objection to that. And also the other thing about Thunderfoot, and this is, you know, again, this was true of all of his videos, that he couldn't just, you know, even people he didn't need to do this to. A lot of his video responses was based on essentially character assassination, like attempting to just, you know, paint people like to, you know, to sort of like almost just to paint them as bad people in every way, you know, irrespective of the argument. Like, he would always try and find that angle, even when he didn't need to, you know. And the problem is that he was up against me, and it was, you know, it's very difficult to make me look bad because I've already done the work for him. I don't care about him making videos posturing. I mean, yeah, that's just part of his thing. I mean, you know, that's fine. And, like, you know, and he did have a doctorate. I mean, let's be honest, you didn't need a doctorate to deconstruct Venom Fang X or Gear Up or Nevilim Free. A fucking, you know, and you know, your basic underdeveloped houseplants can fucking do that, you know. I've written arguments that could destroy fucking, you know, people like Gear Up in the stains in my underpants. But you know, I haven't. I mean, I haven't. You know, I mean, the last time I was aware of Thunderfoot was like he was actually sort of like, you know, it was actually, you know, quite you know, encouraging, because he was going after people on things like Brexit. He was going after anti-vaxxers. He was going after Trump people. You know, and I was like, and I saw his tweets on my feed. I was like, yes, Thunders, this is more like it. Do this, more of this. You know, this is what you need. This is what we need. Let me try and get some light in here, because it's getting a bit too bleak in here. It's starting to look. Here we go. Oh, here we go. Oh, there we go. Look at that. See, this is where folks. This is where the fucking money is. You know, Messi signed with the. Oh, I don't care. You know, a footballer signs with an American team. It's just, you know, he's just money, easy times. That's his retirement. Well, this is where the magic happens. Just an FYI, today I finally finished the script for my next actual proper video. I got all of the shit ready to go. I've just got to, you know, what's to record the audio, put it again. You know, so you know that shouldn't be too long. It's going to be, I don't know how long it's going to be, but it's going to be as, you know, thorough as I could handle a sort of comprehensive look at this cunt called Ollie London. And if you're familiar with Ollie London, you don't need me to explain it. If you're not, I'm not gonna fucking bother explaining here. You'll have to wait. But he's a fucking awful human being, and but he managed to get me to. In fact, we could probably do that. In fact, you know, we might, you know, might do that. You know, he was actually on H3, Ethan Klein's podcast, Ollie London, and had a debate, and fucking it's an hour and 40 minutes. You know, it's not quite Straight Dope versus Brett Keane, but it's not far off. You know, I would say most of them. I mean, I don't know. You know, I don't know, mate. I mean, it's you know. But to be fair, the you know, this is the problem with you know, the problem with you know, also the problem with YouTube is that it gets to a point where, you know, you end up with people who are just coming onto YouTube and they were doing the whole atheist religion, but they were just sort of like everything they were saying had been said by 10 dozen people already, you know, and that's the problem. It's the normal, or it would be these ridiculous, these sort of videos I never understood that they would make to religious people, saying challenge to Christians, you know, and it would be like, show me evidence or proof that your God exists. I'm like, mate, he ain't gonna have any. What's he supposed to do? Just pull a cloud back? It's not gonna happen, you know. I mean, by his own, but you know, by the logic of that, of the believer, if God created everything, then that's it. That's his fucking, you know. It's kind of a bit of a, it's a bit unfair that, you know, you're pitching it a bit too. Hey, imagination. Is it still on YouTube? Yeah, the Holocaust denial video it's on my second channel, Insane Rat Bloke. I think it is. No, that wasn't fucking. Dude, the God Delusion fucking was printed before the atheist fucking community was, you know, even fucking, you know, was really a thing. That wasn't the worst thing. That, you know, let's get this out of the back, because I said this at the time. This whole thing of atheist community was a horseshit. It was an illusion, you know, because, you know, it's one of those things people like to, it's one of these sort of imagined communities that people like to fucking poof out of, to try and sort of accuse you of fucking causing infighting. And I'm like, who the fuck, you know, I didn't come on here to be on your side. What's Dawkins doing now? I don't know, probably sitting in his massive house know, no, it's not Phil McCracken. It's on Insane Rat Bloke. You know, it should be anyway. I can't remember. That was one of the, you know, the Holocaust denial video was one of the ones I had problems with, you know, with YouTube, along with that and my Protocols of Zion video, which was, you know, really, you know, of all the things YouTube have done that have pissed me off, you know, what they did with that video, the way they fucked me with that video, you know, because I'm normally quite fucking, you know, diplomatic, you know, about, you know, I'm normally sort of like, you know, even when I get a video taken down, you know, a lot of the times I'm like, yeah, well, probably did violate terms of service in some way. It's annoying, but there you go. You know, it happened. But that one was fucking, and it was the fact I spent like nearly 2 years working on it was the worst part. But anyway, yeah. So Ollie London, seeing as how I've got, you know, my next video is going to be on Ollie London. Maybe it would be a good refresher if I should play. You know, we should watch the debate with Ethan Klein and Ollie, because it is fucking hilarious. You know, you know, I've never seen Ollie London attempt to have a debate before, and I think after this we never will. It wasn't the fact that the video got taken down. It was the fact that you know, YouTube do that thing where they, you know, you can appeal it, and then they assure you that a human being is going to watch the video and see. And then they got back to me and I'm like, bullshit. You're telling me someone watched this video and determined that it was hate speech. A 30-minute video debunking the Protocols of the Elders of Zion conspiracy. That you think that's fucking hate speech, right? You watched that and determined that, right? You're either fucking lying, morons, or you're just Nazis. Those are your three fucking options, you know. And I just don't believe that anyone watched it. You know, that's the thing, and that's just don't fucking lie to me, right? Just take the video. Don't give me this horse shit that you're actually fucking watching it. He seemed to think, well, you know, Andrew Tate's sort of just becoming a sort, you know, he's becoming the lol cow he always was destined to be, you know. Okay, let's get. Oh, I'll tell you what, let's put this up here. Pardon me. Now, and then we can sit here, and then we can watch. See, I can be like one of those channels with a production budget. Yeah. Let me just find the video. Shouldn't be hard. I watched it out. You can't use. Well, I mean, you know, that's not a big problem. You know, it's just. It wasn't exactly a massive. You know. Issue. I mean, if you're. Quite frankly, you should be able to get through or buy without having to do that. You know. Let's see. Ollie London. Arse raped by Ethan Klein. That's not what it's. Okay. Okay, so is there anyone here who doesn't know anything about Ollie London? Because it might be worthwhile giving a brief fucking refresher. You don't. Okay. Ollie London is in my opinion the biggest and most pathological attention seeker I have ever encountered. He started off as this, you know, weirdo this weird white guy who underwent 32 plastic surgery operations in order to make himself look like Jimin from BTS because he was obsessed with Korean culture. He didn't look like Jimin from BTS. He didn't even look Korean. He looked like a white geezer who had walked into a fucking bee's nest. And he then, and he was basically there. He even went to Las Vegas and with a cardboard cutout, life-size, of Jimin from BTS and married it. Right? I'm not joking. He had the first ever mixed race, gay, interdimensional marriage with a cardboard cutout. Then the attention, because he was just a point and laugh at, sort of like, oh, look at that fucker. And there's loads of them. So he then decides to start announcing that he's not just trying to look like Jimin, that he actually is Korean. And then he announces in a tweet that he is not only coming out as non-binary, but he's coming out as a non-binary Korean man. Right? Now, most people saw through this, but all of the people all of these right wingers who like to try and undermine and invalidate the concept of being transgender by using things like transracial, right? Ben Shapiro quote tweeted Ollie saying, live your truth, Ollie, because, and why wouldn't he? I don't blame him. It's like his whole thing is like, the whole point of the argument, the transracial argument, is not to suggest that being transracial should be a thing. It's saying that this is how ridiculous being transgender is. And if you want to make being transgender look ridiculous, there's no better way than just fucking pointing at this walking, talking, fucking, this living, breathing fucking example of it. This geezer over and so anyway, so that carried on for a bit, and then Ollie London started, again, he was appearing on lots of news, lots of right-wing news, GB News, Newsmax, OAN, even Fox News. He was even on Tucker, and he was still trying, and he's trying to push himself as well at this point as a K-pop star. I won't subject you to his music. Calling it music is calling it noise. Is I would rather it's not even it's challenging. It's up there with It's Everyday Bro by Jake Paul and Baked Alaska's We Love Our Cops, as far as the worst fucking shite music I've ever fucking see. I mean, and then he started saying things like he was going to have an operation to get his penis reduced. Why? Because the average male penis size in Korea is 3.5 inches. So he was thinking of going to Thailand to get that booked in. He didn't. He then decided to come out as transgender again, saying it wasn't just non-binary. He was now a gender fluid woman. So he's now a gender fluid Korean woman. And then he then a few months after that made an apology video saying that he wasn't, he apologized to Jimin and people from the Asian community, but then said he was still going to carry on getting surgery because now he wanted to look like Rose from Blackpink, who I'm sure you're all familiar with. What else is there? Oh yeah, and then after that, then he announced that he was detransitioning, and he was now a white British man again. And then he announced about a month after that he was now a Christian. And he is now fully embraced the fucking the transgender panic, the trans people and drag queens are all groomers stuff, and they, and that's the new fucking sort of angle that got him interested in. And anyway, so we end up with this guy who has been everything from a gay atheist, gender fluid, non-binary Korean woman to now being a conservative Christian white British male who's also gay. Right, so I love Blackpink. There's nothing wrong with Blackpink, my friend. So anyway, and so that's the my video is basically that stretched out over the course of an hour, right? So. But this is how we end up. And now he goes on the Ethan Klein podcast. And of course, the
Ollie
dog
is on the chat.
Here we go. Oh, of course the dogs start barking. Would you shut up? No. Anyway. Right. Okay, folks. Are you all ready? Let me get the chat out because I can see that. Here we go. Excuse me, let me just straighten this out and I'll be right with y'all. Technical difficulties here would be great. I can't wait. See, Ethan Klein, he would have. He's got a fucking manservant to fucking do all this shit for him. You know, me, I've got to fucking hold the camera, get the video racked up, fucking get the chat fucking thing there. Right now, can you all see that? Let's put some colour in here, just to. There we go. Right. Here we go. Da 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 da.
Graced by the presence of Ollie. Let's go ahead and bring him on.
Hi Ethan, how's it going?
Hello, Ollie. Nice to
like your
meet you and
outfit.
sit and chat with you.
Nice to see you. I like your outfit, very French with the hat.
Oh, thank you so much. And you,
Oh,
I
he's
think you
French
look
now.
wonderful too. We're kind of doing the same
Nice,
thing with
like
our
your
hats,
hat.
aren't we?
How is that French?
Wasn't planned, but yeah.
It's a
yeah.
beanie
Let me
hat.
see your profile. Turn to the side. Let me see how it's looking.
Oh, you know, I've actually quit surgery.
No. I mean the beanie. I'm not commenting.
Oh,
on
thank
your
God.
surgery.
Oh, sorry.
He's
I
quit
mean,
now.
The
face was
beanie's,
like-
He's quit
fitting,
surgery.
You know.
Yeah, no, it's
And
very
thank
cool.
God, because
Oh,
otherwise, if he
how's your
carried
day so
on,
far?
he'd end up looking
So,
stupid.
we're just getting set up here a little bit. So tell me, when was your last surgery? I'm curious.
So I actually quit surgery. Well, my last surgery was last April, but I've completely quit, and I'm never going to do surgery again. I had
Never gonna do it again.
Like recently, I had a non-surgical facelift, but it's no
A
surgery, it's
non-surgical
thread.
facelift.
Because,
That was
you know,
basically
you
a
can do the same
wedgie.
thing these days without the actual surgery.
Just
and
someone
I
comes
was
up,
getting to a point even where I
fucking
would probably die.
pulls his ears back.
I've probably
yeah.
gone under anaesthetic 3 times every year. I was going under anaesthetic, so it was like I could have died.
You know,
He could have died.
I read somewhere that you spent $300,000 on plastic
not
surgery.
good enough.
I've always wondered, like, where do you
Yeah,
get
$300,000
Where'd you get
on
that
surgery.
Well, actually, I used to, before I started doing, you know, social media and K-pop and stuff, I actually was a successful personal shopper. So I had my own
I'd have
personal
stuck
shopping
with that,
business
mate.
in London. So, you know, I used to dress like really, you know, like very wealthy ladies, celebrities.
okay, like a
You used to
stylist.
dress
Members of
them.
the royal family. So, you know, I was dressing them in like Gucci and Tom Ford and stuff, and you get a very high commission for that. So basically, I did all that.
Can you imagine
spent
walking
lot
into
of
a
the money
shop
on the
and seeing this
surgery.
cunt?
And now I've
Well,
got
I'm going to
I've
pick
got,
your
like, a
clothes.
PR
You can't
company
even pick
basically
your
helping
fucking face, mate.
influencers, get publicity and
You
help them
can't,
get
you know-
placements in like television and advertisements and stuff like that. And
You
getting
don't
their
even
brand
know
roles.
what you don't know what
And of
anything
course, I
is
do,
you are.
my own social media.
I don't want you picking out my socks.
Coming out this year.
Right, we'll talk about that. But did you say you dressed members of the royal family?
Not the British royal family. So I'd actually.
Well, I said, he still refers to himself as a K-pop star.
Queen Beatrix, the Netherlands, and she shopped with me. She bought some
You hung
handbags
with the
and shoes
Queen?
from me.
Damn.
Yeah, no, but I met loads of people. I met, you know,
He
the
met
Prime
loads-
Minister
he's
of
met
Thailand,
loads
the
of
Prime
people.
Minister. I used to shop with his wives and girlfriends.
Wow.
I worked at
It's
Witherspoon.
been hard
I
to
met
leave
loads of
that
people.
because you know, you moved to South Korea, and we're all familiar
Yeah.
with that whole journey. That must have been hard to leave all that behind you if you were doing so well.
Well, no, actually, that was before. So when I lived in Korea as an English teacher, that was actually before. So
He went to Korea to teach English as a second language. Hasn't learnt Korean himself.
And then
Spent 5 years having lessons once a week.
I had some friends doing fashion, and then
Can't
over
pick
a
it up.
couple of years,
If
I
you
worked
look
my
at the
way up
if you
from
look
a
at his
stylist
videos,
to a personal
his
shopper,
K-pop
and
videos,
I kind of did that for about
like there's
4 or 5
supposed to be
years.
they're like mixture of
So
English
let's
and
talk,
Korean,
Ollie,
and the
about-
comments are just filled with
first of all,
Korean
thank you for
people
coming on.
saying I can't
I
understand
you're
what the fuck
promoting
this
a
geezer's
book
saying.
entitled Gender Madness, which comes
I had
out
to learn
August
English
1st,
just
so
to type this comment.
congratulations. This is your first book. Very exciting.
Oh yeah,
Gender
he's got a book
Madness.
coming out in
Also,
August. That won't
you
sell.
wanted to announce that you're the new spokesperson for Fairness First PAC. Caitlyn Jenner's organization, who famously ran someone over. But that's actually not the most important thing about Caitlyn Jenner.
Yeah, so basically I've got a new book coming out August.
One thing I've never watched much of Ethan debating. One thing he's great at is like being comfortable in awkward silences.
With identity, and I had some very unhealthy behaviours, basically due to my addiction to surgery, my body dysmorphia, which later turned into gender dysphoria.
You're a massive cunt.
I really struggled with that, and it was unhealthy.
You're an unimpeachable cunt. That's the biggest issue.
Deny the person I was, and I had some kind of bizarre behaviours, basically in an attempt
as opposed to now, which is this is totally normal.
Feel loved because I really resented
I want to get into all those things.
Okay,
I'm really
this is him totally normal now.
You identified as a trans woman, right? And then you kind of found God and pivoted to become.
I think the ultimate. I think his final hurrah will be he's literally going to do the I identify as an attack
Christian
helicopter
man.
and start putting a propeller on his fucking head.
Yeah, it sounds complicated, but yes, so I'm back to being myself now and like finally.
He's back to himself now. Oh, good.
No, I just want to get a few things.
Isn't it sad that when you go back to yourself and you realise you're still a massive cunt?
Yes, so I'm still gay, but I have dated girls before, and
he's gay, but I've dated girls.
I guess.
And a cardboard cutout of Jimin.
And
that he's married
don't
to.
Identify as Korean anymore.
No, correct.
Obviously. And then also, are you pro gay rights?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm part of the LGBT community. I support people. My issue is just what's happening to children and also the erosion of women's rights. But I fully support.
Neither of which he has any fucking interest in. A gay man with no kids.
I don't support children being medically transitioned.
So you do support trans people in general.
Imagine this geezer thinking he has the right to tell anybody what they should be doing with their identity or understanding who they are.
That unfortunately the trans movement has been hijacked.
He's like a one-man. You could have your own one-man version of Guess Who with just Ollie London fucking
an erosion of women's
different versions of this cunt.
That's what I really take an issue with. There's a lot of trans.
You could do top trumps with it.
I know what it's like to be trans. Really just
I'm sorry, you don't know what it's like to be trans because you're not transgender.
My issue is with trans activists and not actual trans people.
Okay, so you say here's a tweet of yours from just.
Let's just get that clear. You can't say you were trans, then detransition saying you weren't trans and say I know what it's like to be trans, because I'm saying it now, and very few people would want to say this, because this might be somewhat problematic, but he's not trans. He's never been trans. I refuse to fucking pay respects to any idea that he was trans. He only used it as a fucking bandwagon he could hook his fucking bullshit to in order to try and validate this crap that he fucking believed he was Korean, which, if you're going to believe that, I don't think it's unreasonable to say that he might lie about being transgender. So he's not transgender. So he can't sit here and say, I know what it's like to be trans, because you don't, because you're not, and you never were. And he loves to fucking. He also loves to fucking go on about the fact that I'm detransitioning. Going through the process of detransitioning. He came out as a gender fluid woman, trans woman, and then less than 6 months took it back. So the idea that this was an argument, and he changed nothing. He didn't go through, I think he removed some of his body hair and that was it. It's like, you can't call that that's not a detransitioning, that's just you changing your fucking mind.
The end of last month, not that long ago, you said the goal of the trans movement is not simply to exist. The goal is to erase women, mutilate children, sexualize kids,
erase women,
take away free speech, class pedophilia as an identity,
remove
parental rights.
He's got all this. Who leaked all this? Who leaked the manifesto?
And they're willing to do violence to obtain.
Who gave this cunt the fucking?
When you say the trans movement, it seems to me that you are speaking generally about trans people having this goal. And when you say trans movement, I don't know exactly what you mean, because it seems that most trans people that I've seen, maybe with the exception of Caitlyn Jenner.
Yeah, manifesto, trans manifesto, tranifesto.
Disagree with this, seems to identify as being a part of the trans
How is
movement.
there not a fucking political document called the Tranifesto?
What is the trans movement?
Get on that. Someone get on that.
What is this organization?
Okay, so what I'm talking about here is the trans movement in the trans activist movement. So the people pushing these ideologies. So we see every single day, just yesterday, the Texas
whereas the trans people who are just willing to sit there and fucking do nothing, they're okay.
We see women being attacked at women's rights rallies, physically attacked.
Yeah, but
and we're seeing this trans activist movement pushing for gender-affirming care on kids, which is basically putting 11, 12-year-old kids on very harmful hormones. So that's what I'm talking about. When I talk, I'm not generalizing everything.
But this geezer's been wrong about every decision he's ever fucking made regarding his own identity. And I'm supposed to fucking
really think that
believe him now.
People that have been living as a trans person their whole life, they need to speak out against this, because the problem is that the LGBT
this isn't like being wrong once or twice. Like,
let me ask, sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but I just want to address things you said.
This is a guy who's never been a parent,
right?
So a guy who's never going to be a parent.
The people who are demonstrating at the Texas Capitol are part of this trans movement who wants to, sexualize kids and this whole list of things. They were
Listen, it's not sexualizing kids. Look, I'm just going to say it. Some kids are sexy.
Minors.
I'm just saying it. We're all thinking it. We're all thinking it. I'm the only one brave enough to say it. Right?
As being transphobic.
That's completely different.
You disagree because. What is minor? Anyone 17 and under? Do you believe that ever there would be a 17-year-old that needed gender-affirming care?
So minor is basically classified anyone under 18, and what these people were protesting against was the fact that Texas is trying to pass a law to ban hormones and puberty blockers and gender reassignment surgery being administered to children, basically.
I'm sure all the people there were well informed and know exactly what they...
You can't just go into a state capitol and do that. And if they
but let's be clear about this. This
fucking
conspiracy that he's concocted here. It's not about the trans rights movement. He's implicating the entire medical establishment, like all doctors. This is like they're all in on it.
So I think these people were not protesting about their rights being taken away. It's the fact that they were protesting against a bill that would have actually protected children. So I think that's really harmful.
Some would say that it's actually harming kids, right, to make it illegal to do this, because as you probably know, or I think you did at one point, is that gender-affirming care on children is exceedingly rare. It's actually so rare that it's so
rare it doesn't exist, because you've had all of it.
Children,
you've taken up everyone's quota, Ollie.
I've got the
nobody can have any more fucking
0.000493% of U.S. children aged 6 to 17 go through irreversible gender.
You just missed me being awesome.
Changes. So I guess I'm just curious, because in the cases where they do undergo it, it's usually to save their life, right? Because they might be suicidal.
Unfortunately for Ollie, Ethan has done his research and he's got actual statistics and data.
They go through multiple rounds of talking to psychiatrists and doctors. So I guess I'm just curious, why is
this
it
will prove to be his undoing,
threatening kids instead of actually helping kids who are at high risk of...
I want to get onto this bit, but erase women. Like, it skips over that, Everyone jumps to the, wanting to bum kids. Okay, obviously that normally always takes priority, I understand. Right?
Now it has become so easy. So they don't have the psychiatrist appointments anymore. They don't have, having to wait several years to transition. Now it's a very
this is all horseshit, by the way.
And that's the real issue, because many of these teens, and we're seeing thousands of teens being transitioned and put on hormones. The number's really gone up in the last few years. Many of these teens are struggling with other issues. There's a high...
How is it? Literally, all that has to happen is a kid just has to say it, and the doctor will stamp them, and within half an hour, they have a drive-through. Geezer with a scalpel. He'll chop your cock off.
And they are being fast-tracked. There was a case in Missouri at the St. Louis Children's Hospital, and basically...
I shouldn't joke about that, because knowing America, they will end up having drive-through...
They only required like one session with a therapist to get a child on
surgery. They probably have drive-through surgeries. They have drive-through everything else.
The system is being exploited.
I saw a drive-through taxidermist once in America.
Throughout history, there's so many examples of trans people. But the thing is now is, you know, previously, as difficult as it was, because it's so hard when you're trans to struggle and to think every day.
He wouldn't know this because he's not trans.
Horrific to go
he
through
pretended
that.
to be
but
trans.
The problem is, you know, years ago they would have
I know the struggle.
They would have to.
So he knows the struggle.
Psychiatrist appointments, doctor's appointments, in order to qualify for a transition.
Because he was too busy. He was obsessed with being Korean.
And there are thousands of kids being fast-tracked and put on hormones, prescriptions, and some kids can now go to states like Colorado or Washington State, which have become sanctuary states, and they don't.
I want to actually address what you said about you had said something about Jamie Reed's allegations, right? But that was debunked, right? Because the parents and the children there who
his sources here
attending that facility actually told a completely different story. Have you read their account of that?
Yes, so I saw recently that they did an internal investigation. They said it wasn't true, but no, I don't.
They did an internal investigation.
Yes, but I don't believe that at all because they're trying to cover their back.
You don't believe the internal investigation.
You see, this is the problem with this, is that when you have this thing of like, you know, when you stake a position, you can just sit there and go, well, I don't trust that. And I get, you know, but you can't just say that.
There were no checks and balances, and there were parents confirming that. So, no,
there's just a big bag filled with kids' dicks there.
So and
a load of dresses they can pick up on the way out.
Said there was no wrongdoings. The patient.
It's Ollie London, mate. I apologise.
So I guess I'm just curious. The people who are claiming that there was something wrong there.
Surely,
like
I mean, they do realise that people are transgender. There are trans men.
Are you saying that they don't have a bias?
Why? So why is it just erasing women? What about all the surely if you get trans men and trans women,
they're talking about medically transitioning 8 to 11-year-olds. So we have to acknowledge that this is going on in a lot of clinics, and a lot of these clinics are trying to cover their backs by trying to paint.
Cover your back, mate.
Did you say Project Veritas?
Yes,
Project Veritas. He's citing Project Veritas.
Being like a sex criminal and
now,
like scam artist, James
if
O'Keefe.
You know anything,
right?
about Project Veritas,
he's not part of that organisation.
He might as well say, some bloke down the pub told me.
The original organisation did this investigation.
They don't have a lot of credibility. Veritas. It seems like every investigation they do is just chock full holes of untruths.
This was the geezer who faked footage to make it look like they were chopping up fucking like
pulling data
fetuses that were still alive after an abortion.
Multiple organisations like Project Veritas that do
deep fat fried.
So Gays Against Groomism, ambassador for them, they are also exposing this.
No, he wasn't in Veritas. He's citing Project Veritas.
Gays Against Groomers.
Oh, Gays Against Groomers. That well-known.
Who's the groomer then?
That well-known, credible organisation, that bastion.
LGBT people, it includes trans people as well. Basically, this organisation is calling out the harms. They're doing investigations of gender clinics, calling out the harms of doing this to kids. Because look,
we get that some come in though. That's the part that I find like really inflammatory. Because grooming implies that trans people.
My father used to groom horses, which means he would go on the internet and pretend to be a much younger horse.
Kids. So where does that evidence come from? Because it's one thing to say we're against gender-affirming care for minors, but it's a whole different thing to say, they're grooming.
Well, that word is basically used because we're seeing many drag shows, like adult drag shows, where kids are attending, and it's very sexually explicit. So that is a form of grooming. We also see
has any of these motherfuckers ever been to a pantomime?
About drag and
a Christmas pantomime? It's just geezers in women's clothes doing fucking sexual innuendos that only the parents get.
I know that there was that one
RuPaul's Drag Race, by the way, currently in its 15th season, managed to go completely and utterly.
Drag shows with kids involved where they're being groomed.
So there's in the last year there's
every year at the Edinburgh Festival, the Brighton Festival, there's the Ladyboys of Bangkok show has been running. It took until this year for someone to fucking write some obscene fucking words on the.
They're doing very inappropriate things. So no, it's just.
So hold on, sorry, Ollie, you're making so many claims, and I just want to get to each one. you mentioned an organization, Gays Against Groomers, which was founded by Jamie Mitchell. Is that right?
Jamie Mitchell, wasn't he a
Jamie
character
Mitchell
in EastEnders?
And the partner are ultra
wasn't he
MAGA
Phil
Trump
Mitchell's son?
followers, and there's nothing wrong with
Fucking hell, this is
being a
deeper
Trump
than I
supporter,
thought.
but they're also anti-transgender. They spread anti-transgender propaganda with QAnon conspiracy theories, and interestingly, the founders are straight. So how is it that they can make a gays against a groomers organization when they themselves are not even gay? That seems disingenuous.
Well, because that's how much they're against groomers and being gay. Getting both of them in there.
People that write
Jamie Mitchell is gay.
She's gay. She's a lesbian. All of the people, you have to be LGBT to be a member.
How do they check
of Gays Against
How do they check that? Well, they show them a picture of a cock.
No, I mean, you know, if someone says
you want some of that?
Gay or bi, you know, you accept that.
Yes,
you don't say, "Oh, can you prove that you're gay? How can you prove that?" So, I mean, no, Jamie Mitchell is a lesbian.
If they're a woman, they go, "No, what's that? I don't know what that is."
It's not anti-transgender at all. They support people being trans as an adult, but what they're trying to do is calling out the harm that we're seeing caused to children, and that's the real issue here. Is about protecting kids.
So
won't someone please? It's Mrs. It's fucking Reverend Lovejoy's wife, isn't it?
Drag shows for kids. Is there any other examples, or are we just talking about drag shows? Because I have to assume that the drag shows, even if it's as widespread as Project Veritas claims, which heaven knows how credible they are, there's got to be other. I mean,
they're called Project Veritas. Veritas literally means truth.
There's a whole movement trying to sexualize kids.
Yeah, I mean, even if you look at the music industry, you have really shocking performances like Sam Smith, for instance.
Oh, fucking Sam!
Pushing a
isn't there some fucking? Doesn't some like?
But all ages and
here's the thing: doesn't some responsibility fall on the parents? It's not like these drag shows. Even if they were fucking, even if they had inappropriate fucking, it's not like the parents are forced to fucking sit there. It's not like the kids are strapped in with fucking those things on their eyes like in Clockwork Orange.
Should be at a Cardi B concert if she's twerking or doing like something
He's
very,
twerking.
Very
you should see this motherfucker's fucking K-pop videos. You know, they're directed at kids.
Stuff worse than that, right? On YouTube and stuff. To say they're grooming them seems pretty disingenuous and actually really homophobic and transphobic to put this label that they're groomers, because you understand the gravity of such a claim, right?
Well, it's a very loaded word. I get that, but it's not an attack.
It's a loaded word. Groomer is a loaded word.
Calling out specific cases. It's not an attack on trans people. Calling out specific cases where children are being exposed to something that's highly inappropriate and trying to raise awareness of that. So it's not a label that's attached to gay people, lesbians, trans people. It's literally about calling out specific instances of.
I want to ask you about something specific. Actually, since you bring it up,
kids are so fucking. They don't realise that. Do you have any idea what kids are fucking exposed? It's like a kid sees one.
It was like a
kid sees two gay geezers holding hands, and he's like he's fucking traumatized for life.
Toys with trans people on it, and it was kind of gross and groomy. Have you seen anything like that before?
You know, I've seen T-shirts that the Lieutenant Governor of Minnesota wore, "Protect Trans Kids" with a knife on it. You know, things like that. I've seen T-shirts.
Oh my God, he had a T-shirt with a knife on it. Well, fucking hell.
And, you know, I don't think that's helpful messaging for... And that's just trans activists, by the way, Ethan. This is a small number of people, and that's who I'm calling out. That's who Gays Against Groomers are calling out. It's not the trans community as a whole.
It's not, though, is it?
Specific trans activists who have highlighted... have hijacked the trans movement.
So actually, you know what's interesting, Ollie? If you go to your website right now, your merch website, I was actually talking about your merch. You are actually selling kids' lunch boxes with a picture of you depicted as a trans woman, and you're selling.
No, that's not a trans woman. That's not a trans woman. That's just a K-pop picture of me.
That's a K-pop picture.
I had a feeling you would say that because here it is, you wearing that design.
I mean, it's not.
And it's pretty obvious to tell that
it's a picture
this is depicting you.
Yeah.
This is from just like a month ago. And this is when you were trans. Yeah.
It's not a K-pop because he's not a K-pop star.
Sell this to kids.
He's the K-pop star in the same way that I am a Nazi rapper.
Well, it's you as a trans. It's you as a trans woman.
It's me as a K-pop star.
It's you as a cartoon trans woman.
Trans or not, that's just a cartoon of me as a K-pop star. So it's not. But that's not inappropriate.
You are a fucking. Imagine thinking you've got to draw a cartoon of this cunt. He could go. If he went to one of those caricature artists that you get in the street or fucking That
I was a trans woman.
He'd make him look normal.
That picture does not depict me as a trans woman. It depicts me as a K-pop star, but
it does. A K-pop because being a K-pop star and being a transgender are two mutually exclusive things. You can't be both.
Stuff because
it's a well-known fact,
by your own definition, this is pretty grooming. And even if you go, and this is all. Well, hold on, Ollie, hold on one sec. Even if you go on your website right now, you're selling the same graphic, Ollie London, Ollie Merch Squad, as you depicted as a trans woman. And if you look at the available sizes, it's just kids. 3 to 4.
Imagine
do you think it's appropriate for a 3 to 4 year old to buy this shirt?
Imagine wasting your. How much would you have to hate someone to fucking?
They're absolutely entitled to. There's nothing inappropriate.
What kids are going to buy your merch?
That is a trans woman, Ollie. You're not understanding.
There's not, the Venn diagram of people who watch Tucker Carlson and people who fucking are K-pop stans is remarkably. There's not a lot of crossover.
When you made this, there's a picture of you wearing it. It's obviously you as a trans woman. Here's you as a trans woman, and here's you as a trans woman on the shirt, on a kid's shirt. How am I clutching at straws?
Well, you're clutching at straws. It's an innocent cartoon. It doesn't say anything about.
It's an innocent cartoon.
Somewhat sexual.
There are no
innocent
cartoons.
The tongue is out like that. It's a little disturbing.
Ethan, come on. I'm doing a K-pop pose. You're just clutching at straws.
No, why is the tongue out? I find that a little.
I'm doing a K-pop pose.
Ethan, it's a cartoon. You're just trying to make a joke out of it.
Well, I don't know because you're no, I'm not trying to make a joke. I think this is a somewhat serious issue to resolve here because I'm being serious, Ollie, because let's at least be consistent. If we're going to accuse people of grooming kids, and which you have made a short-lived but
Bernard, he's against kids. He's against kids having any form of ideology
we need to get on top
forced
of this.
upon them.
I just
but it's
don't think
okay for this cunt to do it.
Lunch boxes with a trans woman
if that lunchbox. If that lunchbox had something inappropriate or sexual, that would be wrong. But this is an innocent cartoon of me doing a K-pop pose. There's nothing wrong with that particular picture. If
this is not a Rotosoki Doji.
That would be completely wrong. And of course, I would never sell that.
This isn't fucking tentacle porn.
Cartoon, Ethan.
Let's say a kid's at a drag queen show. That's grooming.
I did watch that as a kid.
Let's say they are selling lunchboxes to the kids with a picture of a drag queen on it, doing a cute pose or whatever, right? Not sexual. But they're in drag.
Let's say a kid is watching RuPaul's Drag Race, all 15 seasons, which you have said fuck all about.
Because some drag shows are generally not inappropriate.
Okay,
a lot of them are becoming sexualized.
That's interesting. So some drag shows are appropriate and some aren't.
Correct. It's about if
some drag shows. He's agreed
in front of kids. It should be.
He's just agreed.
PC,
You'll notice that.
It should not have anything sexual. But sadly, a lot of these shows are doing sexual things, so kids should not be there. If the merch is there and it's a show that's sexual, they shouldn't be there in the first place.
Right. Okay, this is interesting. So you're saying it is okay for kids to go to drag shows?
I'm not saying that at all. I don't think they should.
If they're not sexual, and I would assume it's not because it's for kids, right? I mean, if they're doing sexual stuff, I would consider that. Obviously, everyone would consider that inappropriate. Mm-hmm. But I believe you've just said drag shows are safe for kids. In fact, you would even be okay. Well, hold on. You even said you'd be okay with them carrying a drag show lunchbox.
You could apply that to literally his entire. I think that's his problem in general.
Putting ideas into their head. If a show is innocent, that's obviously better than it being a sexual show. But I still don't think
if a show is innocent,
gender ideology.
So, but what about this lunchbox?
It's not gender. How is a geezer dressed up in women's clothes a gender ideology?
Yeah, but you're in drag in the picture. You
married a fucking cardboard cutout.
Yeah, you're right. You're not in drag. I misspoke. You're trans. You're a woman. You're expressing yourself as a woman on the box.
It's just a cartoon.
And you're married now to another geezer. You're technically a bigamist.
I mean, I feel like you're trying to downplay the significance of this, Ollie. I just afraid that some of the people that you associate with might consider this grooming by your own standard. I'm just looking.
So you're selling Ollie London fleshlights here.
It's just silly, Ethan.
They're just thimbles.
If it's an inappropriate picture, that would be wrong.
Okay. What do you make of this picture?
And what about this? What about this T-shirt that says "I literally fuck kids"? Is this one?
Well, I haven't seen the video of that particular show, and it depends what book they're reading. If they're
what book they're reading? Oh, well, it's obviously what they're reading there is 120 Days of Sodom by the Marquis de Sade is obviously what he's probably reading there, I imagine.
A lot of these books are pushing even subtle messages on gender ideology, trying to tell kids you should be trans and become LGBT, and kids should make that decision on their own. So if that book is teaching them...
But how can they make a decision on their own if you don't... They don't know.
Rainbow fish.
Yes, but I haven't read the book. I can't see what
He's
the
saying
book
kids
is,
can't
so
consent,
based
and then
on
you
that
make
one
a decision.
picture,
He
does
doesn't.
that book contain
He's got
subtle
like
messaging
4
that's trying to
talking
tell
points,
kids
and he
to change
can't
their gender
deviate.
when they shouldn't be thinking about things like that? And in Florida, they've obviously banned books
In Florida.
in the classroom that
Well, I mean,
teach
in
gender ideology. There's a
Florida.
lot of books, kids' books. There's a
As
book
we
called
all
The
know,
Gay ABCs,
Florida,
and that
the
pushes
fucking-
gender ideology for 2-year-olds. It's 2+, and I don't think that's appropriate for a kid that just should be reading kids' books that are completely innocent. They shouldn't
But
even
what do you
be
make
Kids'
of this?
books.
What
Have
do
you
make of
ever
this
read
lunchbox,
any
though?
fairy tales? Jack
Why
and
did you
Jill
say
went
that
up a
lunchbox?
hill
Well,
to
because-
fetch a
well,
pail of water.
Because, it's got a picture of a trans woman on a kid's lunchbox.
Got a picture of a K-pop star.
Jack
on
and
the
Jill went
lunchbox.
up a hill. Each had $1.25. Jill came down with $2.50.
Yeah,
Would you buy
as
that
a
lunchbox
and
for your
this
kids?
K-pop star is a trans woman, right?
Little Miss Muffet sat on a
The image
tuffet,
doesn't necessarily depict
eating
that.
her curtain way. Along came a spider and said, "Hey, what's in the
It's
bowl,
not even a
bitch?"
photo of me. It's literally a cartoon. Had a
Little boy
anime
blue.
cartoon
He
drawn of
needed
me.
the money.
Would you buy it for your kids?
Would he buy it for my
I mean, I
kid?
wouldn't
find it
want.
inappropriate?
I wouldn't just because I don't want to support you financially, but theoretically, I don't think I'd have a problem with. No, I wouldn't have a problem with my children looking up to a trans person. Of course not. What would be wrong with
I would
that?
buy it, but then
And
I'd put
and
a
even,
picture
look,
of
I don't have a problem with
Danny
trans
LaRue
people
on it.
at all. I'm just saying that certain
Andrew
things when
Dice
it
Clay,
comes
the
to gender
Andrew
identity,
Dice Clay.
if transgenderism is being pushed on young kids in preschool or even elementary school when they shouldn't be thinking about that, I think it's wrong to expose them to that. I think
Exposing
it's
them to
kids
trans
discover who they
people.
are.
Exposing them to trans
Sorry?
people, like this lunchbox is. Right?
You're really obsessed with that lunchbox.
Well,
You need to get one.
no, but I think
The only
it's a
lunchbox
really,
I knew about when I was a
important
kid was
point that you're
Linford
not,
Christie.
coming
Right,
to
there's a
terms
fucking
with. We're
reference
exposing
about
kids to
probably
a
2
trans
people in
woman.
this
Don't
fucking
you think
room
that's
again.
wrong? Why is it still on your website, at least,
Shouldn't be
It's-
thinking about it.
Come on, Ethan. I don't know what to say. It's a cartoon. Of a
You can't have
K-pop
kids
star,
thinking about
and
stuff.
It's very innocent. It's just like a little anime drawing.
Because if they think about stuff,
if I was doing something inappropriate, if I had, protect trans kids on there, that would have a message. That would have a loaded gender ideology message. But
Yeah, if I actually said something,
Squad with a
if I
cartoon and me
protect
doing the
tra-
peace sign, it's like super
Yes, what an
cute,
awful
super
thing to
innocent.
write.
Just like most K-pop stars are like super cute,
If I had
Nothing wrong with that.
if I had a
Don't you
loaded
think
ideological
the
message
Higo
like
face a little bit?
don't
Do you think that
kill
should make it more
puppies.
masculine?
No, the Higo face is like some kind of hentai thing, isn't it?
I have no idea.
That's when
I
you
don't watch
cross your
anime.
Yes,
eyes
I didn't
so that
notice
your
this at first,
tongue-
but it's an
Oh, really?
Ohigo face.
But my eyes are
And
wide open.
Ollie claims he doesn't know what an
My eyes are
Ohigo
wide open.
face
I
is.
watch
Hold on,
some anime, but I
hold
don't
on.
know.
Do we
You don't
believe
know
that?
about the Higo
Do you
face?
believe this motherfucker doesn't
No.
know what an
I don't
Ohigo
believe
face
you.
is?
Come on.
No, I watch anime like I watch Attack of the Titans and
That's
stuff.
great.
but I'm
Attack
not
of the
familiar with
fucking you watch
This
anime.
is it,
Of course
and you can see the resemblance,
like
right?
all
Here's the Higo
self-respecting
face.
Go on.
paedophiles.
It's like a hentai reference. But
Okay.
you see the resemblance, right?
Can you put them side by side?
Sure, yeah, I'd be happy to.
I mean, that's quite a cute.
I mean,
Right, but that's like a woman like.
it's not like he's. I mean, I know Ethan's sort of pushing him
Or
on
like
this
a
because he's
butthole.
trying to
Like
get
a
under his skin,
butthole
but he has
kind of
pretty much got a point. It
sexual
is pretty
You're
fucking.
really
Yeah.
clutching at straws.
Am
I'm
I?
literally like, I've got
I mean,
my
that is
eyes
pretty
open, I'm
fucking-
doing the peace sign, and
What
you're
is-
trying to dissect it and say this. Honestly,
There you are. Looking at you comparing
It
two
just seems
things
to
and
me
looking
that
at how
even
identical
as a
they are,
trans
and
person,
fucking.
you shouldn't be exposing kids to that. It seems like you're shoving gender ideology down kids' throats by selling them a lunchbox with a trans woman on it. You don't see my
But I
point
love
at
the
all?
idea that
You
he
don't
thinks
get
that
it?
what
No, I
he's.
don't-
That this is not an ideology. Like, ideology is such a vague and nebulous term that you can't.
I don't think
It's
kids should be exposed to
inevitable.
Politics either. Political
No.
or gender ideology message. If that
No
was on
political,
there,
no
because
political
it was a
messages.
sexually
Kids
suggestive
should not be
image.
subjected
But this
to
is
any
literally an innocent
nothing
cartoon.
political,
I've got my eyes open
nothing.
doing the peace sign. You could not get.
What are they supposed to fucking do?
To please people, do I have to like close my eyes?
Well, I personally don't necessarily have a problem.
Why don't you shut your fucking mouth?
With the eye wideness. I haven't said anything about that.
About what? Sorry.
You said, "What do I have to close my eyes?" I didn't know what that meant. You kept mentioning about like the eye wideness of how.
He hasn't
wide
got
it is.
wide
I don't
eyes
know why you keep
anymore.
Bringing that up.
No, I'm just saying that. Look, in the picture, my eyes.
Basically,
it's
Ollie
got
London
very-
is
it's not
the,
even
you
me,
know
by the way,
Robert
it's a
Downey
cartoon, but
Jr.
the
in
eyes are
Tropic
very wide
Thunder.
open, like,
Ollie
isn't
London
it?
is the yellow
I'm
face
just saying,
version
like,
of that.
What's wrong with
but in
having
real
my eyes
life.
open? Like, we're human beings. We have to have
I
our
don't
eyes
know
open.
why
And
my
not
eyes
as
open.
funny.
Better if I close my eyes?
I don't know. I don't. You know what that means, Ollie. Here's a reference to popular culture with the Higo face. It's like kind of an e-girl.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
probably aware of that.
Well, I'm not.
I've had her.
Girl, so I wouldn't.
Yeah, but you're on the internet.
That's ideology.
It's from
Put that
anime,
away.
Which you're
Put that
somebody-
filth
okay,
away.
But
No,
let's,
I do know anime and stuff. I don't.
I know
anything
anime.
to
Do
that
you
page.
really?
I've got my mouth open like this. Peace. I always have my mouth open.
Yeah, I bet you fucking do.
Sure.
Come on.
Let me see that again. Looks really natural when you do it.
Thanks.
Yes. Yes,
He's
girl. So
such a
are you
wanker.
So but you identify as a male now. You're not trans. We're over that.
No, I'm like, well, basically, I got to a point where I was going to probably die.
God, yes or fucking no, mate.
I was really mentally struggling. Had a lot of mental health struggles based on a variety of issues,
You ain't
which
stopped,
I talk
mate.
about in my book.
This is your struggle. Do you know who else had a struggle?
I was always told
Hitler.
I was like ugly, or I looked like a monster, or I was more feminine, or I had man boobs. So I just used to have all those things and left me with
I'm
traumas.
transgender, but I've got man
my head,
boobs.
and
Okay.
as an adult, I
Are your
didn't deal
boobs
with
not
that in a way
transgender
that
either?
I should have had therapy. I should have spoke to someone. Instead it was almost
Doesn't
like self-harm.
all of
So
you
all this
fucking count?
Crazy surgery was me kind of.
Is that what he
kind
thinks
of
gender
lashing out
fluid
at the
means?
bullies,
That
and it
bits
was
of you
very,
don't,
very destructive for me and for other people. So I'm glad to be over that.
Do you think that people who are bullied are at a higher chance of becoming trans?
Yes, definitely. So I talk about this in my book. There's a lot of studies. There was a study in Finland by the top transgender clinic that was basically transitioning a lot of kids, and they said I think it was around 45% of the kids had experienced severe bullying, so that led to their gender dysphoria identity. But there's also
I was bullied. I didn't fucking turn out like you.
The bullying leads to the dysphoria, not the dysphoria leading to the bullying, which would be more logical.
Yeah, Belle Delphine is definitely not for
kids. But there is
kids.
also the flip side of that, where the kids are being bullied because of their identity.
I would just like to say, if any of Ollie London's bullies are watching this, well done. However, I think you could have tried harder.
The one in Finland at Tampere University, they found that there was a significant correlation between a kid being bullied and
could have at
then
least
the onset of their gender dysphoria coming afterwards rather than before. But of course, it works both ways.
Giving him a glass eye or something.
You're citing in front of me.
It's Tampere University, Finland. Yeah.
Here it is. Let's read the conclusion. Here. There's the abstract and everything. Let's see. The conclusion says gender identity, especially non-binary identity, is associated with both being bullied and perpetrating bullying, even when a range of variables, including internal stress and involvement in bullying and the opposite role, are taken into account.
Okay, what you just said there, what you just done is that's the opposite of what Ollie just said.
Mechanism of maintaining heteronormality, which I think what that means is that the bullying actually results in people rejecting their transness in favor of heteronormality. So it seems to be saying the opposite, actually, of what you claimed it said. Do you see what I'm referring to? Heteronormality?
Yeah, no, I see that. I see that article. That if you actually read the full study,
if you read the full study, what you'll see is that there's information in the study that contradicts the conclusion that you've just read.
This is the study. It's the .gov.
Finland.
Yeah, this is it. And then this is the author's conclusion.
Like as if Ethan's supposed to, even if you had access to the full study, like Ethan's supposed to access that now.
Yes, but
yeah, I'll just read this fucking. I'll just read this 300-page. So sit tight.
The perpetrator. So it's basically saying that
but the message. This is the last sentence. So let's read this together carefully. Mm-hmm. It suggests that bullying during adolescence may serve as a mechanism of maintaining.
Some people, when they get bullied, they just learn how to fucking tell jokes. Or they learn how to fight, or they kill themselves. Either of those three options would have been preferable to what you've become.
Correct, but the study also, if you read the full study, there's a high correlation between. There's two different findings in the study. There's two different
findings in the study. Only one of them is mentioned in the conclusion, and it happens to be the one that I'm not fucking talking about.
And there's also part of the study which also says,
this is not my problem.
Like the conclusion is finding that some of these kids are bullied because of their gender dysphoria, and it makes it worse. So there's two different findings.
If two outcomes are possible, then it doesn't seem that interesting. I wonder why you bring it up.
Well, no, read the full study. It also talks about the correlation between autism.
I mean, this is the author. They wrote the conclusion right here.
Just turn up with brief history of time. It's in there. Read that.
That's the author. That's the author. That's their conclusion.
Just turn up with the entire Encyclopedia Britannica.
Conclusion than the author of the study.
Every volume.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if you
read all of this
multiple times,
it's in there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
According to this, bullying prevents more kids from transitioning. Do you believe that we need more bullying?
No, I'm an advocate against bullying. I think whoever gets bullied, it's so wrong. I've been bullied myself, and I'm an advocate.
You see, that I would, you know, it sounds good, but then you think, I think you could do with some more. I don't think you were bullied enough, Ollie.
No,
I think that's the
don't
problem.
agree at all. No,
I think
even if
you
a
could
kid
have
is
done
feminine
with
or
having your
a girl
fucking
is a
face
tomboy,
smashed
they
in a
should
few
not
more
get
times.
bullied. No one
It
should
couldn't
get
have ended
bullied.
up. You couldn't have ended up looking worse.
But if somebody wants to transition,
They should have given you an excuse to all that
I just
surgery.
don't think it's right as a kid, because a lot of these kids are going through so many issues during that time. They are not in the right frame of mind to make an informed consent decision.
If a child is suicidal,
Are the kids consenting to being bullied? Is that anything to do with what's being bullied got to do with that? Oh, sorry. Hold on. Does this occasionally. Sort yourself out. Here we go.
And doctors that use this argument. There's a clinic called
Doctors use this argument
in California.
Kaiser Permanente.
Kaiser.
Yes,
I mean Kaiser.
I mean, so basically,
the clue's right there.
Have used with multiple people that have since detransitioned, Chloe, Cole, and Layla, another detransitioner. They basically told them your kids are going to commit suicide if you don't transition them. But what they said afterwards.
How long is it? Oh, about an hour.
6 months down the line after transition, because they've got hormones in their body, they've got puberty blockers. And they even had double mastectomy. That
the vast majority of people that transition don't regret it. I think it's like 95%, 99%. Are you aware of that stat?
You don't hear the cases of the detransitions.
Are you?
Oh, you don't hear them. Then how can you possibly know they're there?
That transition do not regret it.
No, I don't support that.
That's because you don't hear
from what authority do you?
You won't fucking shut up about it.
Well, look, these clinics make these
You don't have a problem. Can't you fucking
studies? There's an example of.
Why don't you collect the numbers then, you
just told me to read one.
Look,
this is the old silent majority fucking people.
Their studies are skewed and biased.
In a review of 20
skewed and biased
involving almost 8,000 teens and adults.
Why would they be? Why on earth? Why would this happen? Why would they do that?
Expressed regret. For some
you can't just assert that they're being why?
Transition.
What do you think the reason or the objective?
Like a very small amount to be singularly focused on. And this is 27 studies, so this is a massive kind of conclusion, right? A scientific conclusion, a consensus, if you would.
Yes, but what I'm saying is there's a clinic, for instance, Tavistock Clinic, which was the main clinic in the UK.
Tavistock. They
were actually
fucking
exposed. They were doing studies as well. They weren't bothering to check with the detransitioners. They didn't bother to check with the detransition. They didn't check how the hormones were affecting them over the year.
I know what you're talking about. That English one for yeah. So that one, if I recall, I looked into that. People say it was shut down. It was actually
reopening.
Being shut down,
right? But
still open.
It's being shut down. No,
they're actually making a bigger one so they can serve more needs. I actually, so it's not really being shut down. Actually,
they're making a bigger one, Ollie. Not because they need to, because they're just trying to wind you up. Yeah. They saw you and thought,
that one's actually being shut down this year.
Let's make it a stadium.
The National Health Service, which is basically looks after all the hospitals in the UK for the government.
We don't need to. I just want to annoy this prick.
Ethical violations and stuff, and they also changed their policy based on what happened at that clinic via internal investigations. They found that many of these kids were being pushed to transition without having checks on their mental health, and they're basically being pushed into it and fast tracked very quickly.
Do you think it's significant though that of the patients, the actual people that transition, only 1% regret it? You're not acknowledging that?
No, I don't trust the studies.
Why?
Even if you say
27
see, now I don't trust the studies.
Why did you tell me
I
to read
don't believe those studies.
You use studies when it's convenient for you.
It's like those 9/11 truthers who go, we've got architects and engineers who agree with us. Yes,
do we like
you've got like 10 of them, right? But,
what I'm trying to say is,
but all the others don't. Don't trust them.
Ollie, do we like studies or not? All studies or no studies?
I like studies.
Oh, we do.
No, I like studies.
You do like studies.
The study you cited didn't even agree with you.
Finland was a transgender clinic that made the study.
Are you trans dyslexic now? Do you read words the exact opposite?
Low detransition rate, but there are thousands of detransitioners out there. They're just not
thousands of you can't
stories
fucking
because of
move
fear
for
of being
it.
attacked and. They get abuse every single day from trans activists. So there's thousands of kids out there. There's 50,000.
How can they possibly do that when we don't know they exist? You just said we can. How can you attack someone who you don't know? You just go and punch every other person on the off chance?
You seem to be in denial, Ollie, that the
denial, as we all know, ain't just Dave Rubin in Egypt.
Let's say instead of 1%, it's 10% regret it. And that's a huge deviation. So I'm giving you a lot
Regrets.
of doubt here. If 10%
I've had a few.
Do you think that on whole of the 90% who don't regret it and who had what they consider life-changing,
like when I had
healthcare,
my penis chopped
why would
off.
you seek to deny them life-changing healthcare? When they, they say this saved my life.
Well, Ethan, children can't get tattoos. Children can't buy cigarettes or buy alcohol.
They fucking can. No, but they can ask some dodgy cunt like me to go get it for them.
We have to look at many of these kids. They don't understand. They don't think about the future.
Exactly. Just because the kids can't, there are things kids can't do. But you know what? Kids have. You don't make any decisions from the day you're fucking born, including your own existence, up until the age of like fucking 18.
As an adult, they can make informed consent, but even
you can't make any decisions on anything now anymore until you're fucking 18.
How many kids between the age of 6 and 17 went through irreversible surgery in the United States?
I know the number rises every year. Now it will be several thousand.
So the number of patients, of children between 6 and 17 who went through irreversible surgery,
peripheral neuropathy.
What was the year? The years on that one?
3 years, 2019 through 2021.
So this is the most comprehensive data we have, and this comes straight from the government stats. It was 250 per year. Does that seem significant to you?
That's completely incorrect because there are
250.
It's in the thousands now. There's a clinic in Oregon that's done at least
300. Is that significant?
Yeah, Oregon, a hotbed of transgender activity.
50 million children in the United States. Do you think 1,000 is statistically significant?
There's thousands, and this study probably only takes into account people on Medicaid or Medicare. There are also
we're just normal men.
Patients that pay out.
We're just innocent men.
I think thousands, let's say it's thousands. Is this significantly significant when we have 51 million children in the United States between ages 6 and 17?
It's significant even because it's growing every day. If you look at any chart or graph,
it's expanding like your mum's vagina.
It's now in the tens of thousands across the US.
It's not in the tens of thousands. Fucking
thousands alone. Florida, before Governor DeSantis banned, there's a clinic, Dr. Gallagher, who performs at least 5 surgeries on minors every month. So that's just one clinic. So
five surgeries a month. Jesus.
Is it possible to get a reference?
Dr. Gallagher is a clinic in Florida, and she operates on minors.
Okay. And so what is wrong with the
men who work in mines?
I mean, let's say it goes up from 1,000 to 2,000 in the whole United States. I mean, so obviously,
all the autistic are left out,
right, Ollie, as people become more educated and aware of transgenderism.
Well, as we all know, anybody who watched, I watched the film Rain Man. Of course,
you are,
and I was indoctrinated as a child after watching Rain Man into the autistic ideology.
You saw the numbers significantly.
As a kid, I was tested for autism. They found out that none of the other kids wanted to talk to me.
What is the difference between the hysteria that took place then about there was, on the right, that they're turning our kids gay? That turned out not to be true. You agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good. So hold on to that. So now today,
hold on to this. It's the banisters
of trans kids getting surgery or gender-affirming care or whatever. So why is it that you today can draw a conclusion that was the same conclusion in the 50s that you disagree with?
It weren't the 50s. This was fucking... They were still doing this fucking... They were still doing this within the last decade.
It seems to be a glaring contradiction in logic.
Gay people cannot breed, therefore they must recruit. We've all met those gay recruiters.
It is a concerted push, Ethan. So
concerted. Said about gay people.
Ethan, there's now over 60 pediatric gender clinics that have opened within the last 15 years across the US.
60 clinics? That's like virtually none.
They're opening clinics because they know they can profit.
Oh my God. You just know that pediatric clinics take care of kids in general. And also, pediatrics in America, I think that includes people up like the age of like 19, 18 or 19 or 20 or something.
Schools or via social media because they can get more patients through their door.
So that's good. But let's focus on this issue that I want to nail down. They said that gay kids were being influenced to be gay. You disagree with that now, and you're one of the people that says kids are being influenced to become trans, and it's the same curve. Why is that curve not just the
And if
result
you
of
are
this
someone
becoming
who
more
thought you were
acceptable,
transgender and
in
it turned out
society.
you were wrong,
This is
do you
the
know
same
what?
curve.
Tough
Same curve.
fucking shit, say
It's
I.
a huge curve, you know, and it's really in the last 5 years since
We don't get to
TikTok came
invalidate an
about. We're
entire
seeing
group of
so
people's
many.
existence
There's
just
about
because
1.2
you
billion people
It
fucked
doesn't
up.
matter how they become aware of it. I'm telling you, it's the same curve.
What I'm trying to tell you is that there are
Some people have a
influences
gay
now that
phase when
didn't
they're younger.
exist
They're not
10
sure.
years
They
ago
realise
about
they're
pushing
not.
kids. For
Generally,
instance,
after the
TikTok,
bloke's
there's about
jizz has landed on their
2.2
So
eyeballs.
TikTok is turning people trans, where back in the 50s, people said it was like rock and roll music, it was movies, it was hippie movements.
The TV,
that wasn't
the
accessible
TV,
to
the
the
idiot
generation
box.
before them. I don't see the difference.
What I'm
Satan's
saying is
cubit.
that kids are being exposed to influences that they didn't have before. You know,
Influences.
kids are being
This fucking
The
cunt.
same in the 50s. The kids who were coming out as gay were also exposed to things that weren't accessible to generations before them.
Well, I don't
What do you think?
agree with
What do you
that.
think
They didn't have
dads in the
phones then.
70s
Kids
thought
are
about
now
Mark
being pushed
Bolan?
trends, and the AI algorithm recognizes a kid's
Or fucking
vulnerabilities,
David
makes
Bowie.
videos.
Music, popular music.
Yeah, music.
Pop
has
music
always.
pop music was something that was rock and roll was something that was new back then.
London, Belgium, Paris,
No,
Munich.
correct. And you could also argue that in the 80s, more people came out because, music like George Michael was,
Music like George Michael.
Why are you concluding that TikTok is making people?
Oh yeah, the
trans?
80s.
I don't
A really good,
understand
a
the
really,
logic. You
really
just
easy to come out in the
contradicted
80s.
What
The
I'm
same
saying is in the
decade where
last 5
AIDS
years,
caught on. It
there
was
is
really
an
fucking easy to
increase in
come out
gender
as gay
clinics opening
because
because
George
they
Michael
are
was the counterbalance to that.
exploiting these children that are being pushed trends. There's a lot of lobby groups.
Maybe not
and
Michael
human
Jackson,
rights
not the
campaigns,
best fucking
massive lobby
example.
group. They're going around.
Ollie, you were
trying to
trans
push,
before TikTok.
I've
Oh
struggled
yeah,
with
but Prince
gender
was there in his
dysphoria
little
all of my
cat
life,
suit, little
correct,
glittery
but
knickers
yes,
round his
but
ankles.
my identity struggles
Smashing
came
your
about because
fucking
I was
mum.
using social media too much, and
But
I
Ollie,
started
you
to
were
see.
born in 1990. You're not that much younger than me. When I grew up, there was no social media. I don't believe you probably
God, I've got
had
bad
social
habits
media
that are
until you were
older
in
than
your
him.
20s, well into your 20s.
Yeah, correct. And the reason I struggled with my identity was because of bullying in childhood. But then I only transitioned as an
But
adult.
bullying in
because
childhood,
firstly,
we established from the report that you told me to read that bullying in childhood results in less people transitioning.
Sorry, say it again.
Yeah.
The study
That's
you
why
sent me,
that's why Islamic terrorism
Yeah,
died out
about the
after
same
Prince
study.
died because there were
the
no more
conclusion
virgins
was
left in
that
heaven the day after.
bullying results in less people transitioning.
It's a fact. That
So you
can't
said
argue with that.
it's a result of social media. Well, you didn't have social media. Then you said
even
it was a
I'm
result
one
of bullying. But this study you told me to read,
I remember as
says
a kid listening to
bullying
Twisted
reduces
Sister.
the,
I think the first record
amount
I
of
ever
people
bought as a
who-
kid was a
who
fucking
transition.
7-inch
So
vinyl
how
of
is
fucking
it
Twisted
that you
Sister.
were trans before,
Geezers
outside
with
of all
fucking
these
perms and
influences that
fucking
are turning
makeup and
people
studded
trans?
leather frilly
Well,
bits on.
firstly, I'm an individual, so I'm one person.
I'm an
So my
individual.
experience is not reflective of every single person that.
Oh, but you get to fucking. Oh,
But
so
the thing
you're
is,
an
I became
individual,
trans as
but
an
we
adult
don't get
because
to
I
fuck. But we get
really
to fucking
struggled with
judge
my
everyone
identity
else.
throughout my whole life. And yes, I did get bullying. Every case is different as well. Some people are bullied because of their gender identity. Some people are not.
But they wouldn't have come out of their gender
The
identity.
reason I became trans,
They wouldn't be bullied of their gender identity because you said that stopped them from coming out.
Find myself and trying to fit in because I hated the way I looked.
Ollie, if your journey is a personal one, which I totally understand, then what gives you the right to project your personal experience onto others?
Well, I speak to detransitioners every day. I speak to parents. I speak to women.
You don't speak to anyone. No one wants to talk to you.
Ollie.
You're the fucking. You're that weirdo on the fucking bus who people fucking avoid.
I think like
every
studies,
fibre of
I
their
don't know if we
being.
decided. I think you said you
The
like
last
studies.
person, the last thing.
27 of them
I can't think of
made a
any tragedy
consensus
that could befall me where
99%
I
of
would
people
need.
that
I would have to resort
transition
to calling
don't
that
regret it. So
fucking
if you
prick.
spend all day talking to the 1% that do regret it, don't you believe that underlies a bias?
Well, no, I don't believe it because I
don't believe it because
I talk to parents
reasons.
that have trans kids, and they're trying to navigate through that.
But they can't be trans, can they? They can't be trans because kids can't make that. How can they be? How can you talk to people who've got trans kids because they,
using my platform to try and help people? The general consensus is we shouldn't be doing this.
Kids are not watching your platform, mate. Kids are not watching Newsmax or AON or Fox Business Channel or Talk TV or Piers Morgan.
Has a problem with that. If they want to become trans as an adult,
who's watching it? Cunts. That's who's watching it.
I talk about every day. I talk with parents. I talk with all these detransitions. It's when this happens to kids. That's the issue I'm speaking about.
Right, but that's
not about people being
Imagine being a parent and thinking, I need to
just to
talk to
pivot a
that
little
fucking
bit.
gay
I'm
mutant.
one of the people that would say, Ollie London
That geezer who
is
married a cardboard
willing to do
cutout.
anything for attention. You have probably some kind of I don't want to diagnose you. I'm not a psychiatrist, but there is some
I will. He's bonkers.
craving for attention, clearly, right? Good or bad. You said your pronouns were core, Ian. You know, you said you were going to get
his pronouns were core, Ian, and Jimmy.
Reduced. So
those were his pronouns.
You could be a more authentic Korean. I mean, these are not serious things. You seem to be a provocateur. Is it possible that you are participating in this right-wing grift because, one, it's making you a lot of money, and two, it's getting you a lot of attention? Is that possible that you actually don't care and that you're...
Yeah, but he's not really... I don't know if he is really grifting. Listen, here's the problem with people like him, grifting right-wingers. If the people he's grifting end up getting their way, he, along with Candace Owens, Dave Rubin, Blair White, you know, they will be the first motherfuckers strung up from the nearest lamppost because they're no longer... They're surplus to requirements now.
They're very glad to be using you as a mouthpiece against trans people, so it must feel good to be being accepted from somebody, even if it is at the detriment of many people who are at risk, trans people. It must feel nice to have people supporting you.
No, it's nothing to do with that at all. You know, I could have easily continued doing K-pop. I could have focused.
You couldn't. You're a joke. No one fucking likes Ed. Like, I went through all of the songs on his channel and read all of the comments. Not a single one. I read fucking hundreds of comments. Not a single bastard one.
I mean, that's the biggest show in the world, or it was. Rest in peace to the GOAT.
Yeah, he was the original GOAT. But no,
Tucker was the original GOAT, yes.
So you say it's not possible that you are just doing this for attention. If we go back, here's a recording of you saying that you're using the BLM movement for attention and for cameos. Here, listen.
Millions. So basically, every time I do a music video, it's like, if it's $1 million, it's £1,000. So yeah, if I just keep releasing music videos...
Is he jerking off while he's fucking making this?
And then also because I've been a lot on Twitter, there's been so many people talking about me on Twitter because I'm supporting the Black Lives Matter and protests and stuff. So I had 200,000 views on the video. So because of that as well, I'm getting a lot of requests. So it's just, you know, I'm just staying relevant.
He's staying relevant. Yeah, this is relevant, mate.
Because, you know, the more exposure
Sorry, but you're under my radar. You ain't relevant,
TV,
right?
The more cameos I get. So yeah, just...
So here you say you're supporting
Imagine getting a
BLM
cameo.
to stay
How much
relevant
would you have to hate someone to buy them
Have
a
you been getting
cameo for
cameos,
this fucking...
since you went right wing?
Well, firstly, that audio was from a number of years ago. It was edited deceptively by somebody
it predates the fucking statutory limitations of being valid.
It's your voice, correct?
It's my voice, but it was
No, he doesn't get half of it. Dude, he just admitted he was supporting BLM because it got him...
I'm not doing anything.
It was just a hashtag that got him fucking more... It got him fucking attention.
What's the deception, Ollie? You tell me it's deceptive. I'm open to hearing you out. How is it deceptive?
I mean, that's the extent to what his support took.
I was generally like thinking, oh, how many likes can I get? How many views can I get? Because I was in a really crazy mental health place.
You're still thinking about that. You're about to,
I would feel worse about myself, so I would try and be validated via online views and things. But in fact, you know,
unlike
talking
now.
to BLM, actually, no, I'm not doing it now. If I wanted to, Ethan,
which is why you're on the show.
No, if I wanted to get attention and stuff, I would stick to doing TikToks. I would stick to doing my K-pop music videos.
You're getting a lot more attention right now. I mean, you're getting a lot of attention right now. In fact, you wrote a whole damn book about it.
His last K-pop song was about like December 2021, and it's got like it's got barely like maybe 60,000 views. The only ones that have got like a lot of views, I've only got views because they're so unimpeachably fucking awful.
You're concerned about you're going to feel really bad when your next phase comes around and you realize.
Well, if his next phase, he's fucked. Really, let's face it, he's burnt every bridge. What's he going to do?
It's not a phase, and I'm not a mouthpiece for anyone. I'm literally just trying to speak up about.
You're not, mate. You're not even a fucking. You're not even a fucking glory hole.
That if we look at all of your different iterations of your personality, the one consistent thing is a need for attention.
You could say that about Trisha Paytas, who was your best friend. And
Trisha Paytas is not here.
I say that about Trisha Paytas, sure. Are you like Trisha Paytas?
That's the fucking. That's the example you want to bring up. Trisha fucking Paytas. Yes, you could say it about her. And.
No, I had a wake up.
Trisha was a chicken nugget, I believe. Do you empathize with that, Ollie, as a former trans person?
Ethan, I'm vegetarian, so I wouldn't empathize with her.
So you're saying you're like, and congratulations on that. We support that. Ollie, do you believe you're like Trisha Paytas?
No, not at all. I'm not comparing myself to her. I'm just saying that she had a lot of identity struggles. She had some unhealthy behaviors. I had some unhealthy behaviors.
Oh, as opposed to now, she's fully fucking stable now, Trisha Paytas.
To try and be a better person, to try and help people. And that's what I'm focused on. So people can call me what
perfectly rational now.
I'm literally trying to help.
Trisha Paytas, it's a byword for fucking
this came about
being
when you
reasonable.
found God, right? You and you can fill in the blanks here. You were confused. You were a transgender woman. You were selling kids' lunch boxes depicting a trans woman on it.
Yeah.
That's pretty
having an
low by your
orgasm
own definition. And then you were walking around and you found God. You entered a church.
You found God, yeah, because when human beings will no longer talk to you, people suddenly find God. That's the way this works.
I lost a lot of my friends. People thought I was
He lost a lot of his friends.
I was very mentally unwell.
Parents fucking disowned him. Parents want his parents want fuck all to do with him. He never even talked. And you know that. And the reason I know that is because he never mentions them. He never talks about them. He wants,
non-judgmental and kind.
Hold on.
Even they're embarrassed.
Told you that you're not trans?
God bless them. They probably tried.
Tell me I wasn't trans, but they said if I'm having issues and struggling with who I am, perhaps I should find a community that's very welcoming and might make me feel like I can belong.
And that's when this guy, who is so concerned about children being around sexual predators, joins the Catholic Church.
You took your time to find God and find your new self.
I stopped spending hours and hours a day on TikTok and YouTube, which was, messing up my mind. And I actually left my phone at home. I would go to therapy sessions, and then I started going to church. And it made me realise,
I stopped believing in God when I realised it was
being online or whatever. I need to actually make a difference in this world. And I've spoken to so many people that are concerned at the direction the world's going in. And if I can try and help.
And how are you a fucking example of the direction it should be going in?
Feel good.
I want to show you this clip.
You're a fucking disaster.
Morgan, okay?
Lots of pictures here of you as a woman. So how long ago was that? Was that quite recent?
That was actually at London Fashion Week, so that was literally a month ago. So kind of a drastic change.
So you went from trans woman at Fashion Week. A month later,
trans
to being
Korean
on
woman.
Piers Morgan denouncing the trans movement. When you said get off. Take your time.
He probably fucking detransitioned that quickly because he was booked for Piers Morgan.
No, actually, since I originally transitioned, I felt great for a couple of months, and then I really started to question it. I started to think, okay, I can even do more surgery to make myself physically become a transgender woman, or I can take a step back.
Could you just keep having surgery until there's none of you left?
But it was too late at that point. I'd already done facial feminization. I'd already changed myself. I was very confused. So I'd been having those thoughts for a number of months. And then,
he's got the Michael Jackson nose. There's no fucking, you cannot see any shadow.
Tell me about when you were in the church.
His face looks like a fucking emoji.
Like an awakening.
Well, I'd lost a lot of friends. I'd lost a lot of loved ones because my behaviour was very unhealthy. And, it was a now or never moment. I could have continued down a very destructive path, destructive for myself and people around me, and destructive for, people that see me online. I think I was, not a good role model, and I deeply regret that. So,
were you trying to be a role model? I find that interesting.
No, well, at the time in my delusion, I thought I was a role model for people that liked K-pop and wanted to be a K-pop star.
What?
So then
the 300 million comments under all of your videos pointing out that you suck.
After spending some time going to church sessions and sermons, it made me realise, just try to find acceptance with who I am and stop doing all this craziness. And
comments that say things like,
real me, and that's the most important thing.
This music is perfect when played at 0 volume.
The real you being a British man. But if you talk to other people, I think they might say the real them, and as I think you would agree, people are born gay. They don't choose to be gay. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
People are born gay, they don't choose to be gay.
And I believe that some people generally feel trans since they're born. I do believe that.
They feel trans since they were born.
So God
Put a pin in
made them that way.
I just believe that some people are born as trans, but my issue is kids being indoctrinated to transition when they didn't think about it.
You can't indoctrinate someone who was born that way.
That's the way you
How can you tell?
I don't believe in people that
from the ones that were born that way to the ones that were indoctrinated. What is your fucking?
Because when you're on these shows, you kind of make a point about being like, I'm going back and I'm being true to myself,
Okay,
implying almost that like this trans thing is just some kind of silly psychosis you had. But you're saying now being born trans is actually a state that God creates people in.
I'm saying that some people are born trans, some people are born gay.
Does God make people trans?
Some people.
I'm not saying anything on that subject.
Right.
I'm just saying that some people feel. Everybody feels different.
Oh, now they feel. Now they feel gay.
You know, I'm willing to say
some
that
people
God
are born feeling gay. Did anyone feel gay when they were born? Did anyone remember that?
People are born in different ways. They feel different. Some people might be born intersex. Some people are born gay.
Well, you talk about God going back to how God or Jesus intended me. So I feel like this is an interesting point to resolve, because this is something that you bring up in your interviews. God makes people trans. I find that to be.
I never said.
You can't remember feeling gay. Wow.
I never said God didn't make people trans.
Does God make people gay? Does God make people gay?
I'm just saying that people are born in different ways.
Because you said you were born.
You're just saying. No, answer the question.
So
I wasn't born. I was born a man, and then as a teenager, I became
you cowardly
gay.
little bitch.
So it didn't happen from birth, but I struggled.
Well, of course it didn't happen. You didn't have a sex drive.
As a kid,
you don't have the. You didn't have the biological urge to put your dick in someone. You're not going to know that. You fucking absolute raging pillock.
The way I did if I wasn't bullied, or perhaps
is God all powerful?
Yeah, God is very powerful. Yes, absolutely.
All powerful.
But
is God all powerful?
God is all
He's got a power bottom.
He made you gay.
He's got a top or a power bottom.
No.
Why would he make
3 words? Sloppy party bottom. That's what we got here.
So confused that they wanted to be trans. Well, actually, logically, it doesn't even make sense. If God is all powerful and He creates a being, and then this being lives through their lives and then says, "Oh, I want to transition," God made them that way. If God is all powerful, it's all part of His design. God wants people to be trans.
Well, there are societal, environmental
God created society.
Yes, correct. But I'm just saying there's a lot of human factors that influence.
God created humans.
If people are, yes, I know that, but if people are
Ethan's just got him in a fucking loop now. He can't say anything.
Ideology.
What I'm saying is a lot of these people
God created
not have
people.
Felt this way when they're born, but they're
God created born.
God created society.
To think that
we live in a society we live in a God-created society.
Transitioning as an operation. I mean, just where am I logically wrong? I don't see any logical conclusion that doesn't come to the idea that God made people trans.
I never said God made anyone trans. I just said that society and the environment around people influence.
What? So people are just,
He's all powerful,
rebelling.
Right? You said He's all powerful.
Fuck this.
Yes,
so people are fucking overthrowing God's fucking.
But He made humans.
This isn't going anywhere.
This isn't going anywhere. No,
okay,
that's kind of your problem,
do you believe that the Bible is against transgenderism, or
now?
What's your thought on that?
Now, just a warning. As they get into this discussion about the Bible, at one point, it's coming up soon. I can't remember when, but Ollie London is about to say one of the stupidest fucking things I have ever heard anybody say in any fucking religious debate, and I've heard a lot of them, as you probably know. So you'll know it when it happens, right? I'll point it out, but it's coming.
I guess a newborn Christian.
Well, the Bible was written a long time ago. There are things in the Bible, such as in the Old Testament, that aren't relevant to today's society. We know that. So we have to adapt what was written 2,000 years ago to the modern day. But
why?
I'm not one for policing how adults live their lives, but I think
you fucking well are. You clearly are.
Because there weren't trans people.
You're for policing how adults, how parents with children should.
There was a Roman emperor that was trans. He used to dress as a woman. So we know there's the instances, but I'm just saying.
Oh yeah, Roman emperors are great fucking examples of stable human beings.
The emperor to be trans.
Well, I wasn't alive then.
Well, hold on.
I weren't alive then. Were you not, Ollie?
Yes, but so.
Were you really not? Well, thanks for pointing. Oh well. I will fucking cease this line of questioning because I thought you were 2,000 fucking years old.
Now, I wasn't around back then, so I don't know the exact details.
Again.
He thought he was.
Why are you saying this?
Maybe he could have been born like that. Some people are born like that, and they generally think that they're.
Who is this dude? He's a cunt.
You don't have an opinion on if the Bible supports transgenderism or not, or homosexuality even.
Well,
You know, the Bible's
Jesus
written a
said it
long
on
time
the
ago.
sermon,
Yeah,
blessed
but
are the lady
surely,
boys.
I mean,
He said
you know, why use the Bible as a guide for anything in your life if it was written so long ago? I don't understand that point.
Because, Ethan, because there's many teachings in the Bible that are very,
yes, but we don't
positive,
need the Bible to
about
have
love,
those teachings. The
acceptance,
Bible
and
didn't
kindness,
invent them.
and trying to help
And it's all very well to
humanity.
sit there and say,
It was written a long time
ignore
ago,
the
so
shit
like I
that
said,
doesn't
the
apply
Old Testament
today.
has
But
things
who are
that
you
are
to tell
relevant
people
for
what
now.
should and shouldn't
sisters
apply?
raping their dad.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The Old
We don't like
Testament
that
has
one.
things.
Okay, I like your optimism. So
Sisters
I'm saying
raping
the Old
their
Testament
wow.
no,
has
we're
things
not
that
doing the
aren't-
Old Testament.
Tell that to the
Okay,
Fritzels.
cool. So we don't. Okay. I heard you when you're on these shows. I notice you talk a lot about this specific story of Jesus that inspired you. How he helped the lepers when nobody else would, and
Yeah.
that you.
And then he related
at
to the
time
lepers
when you
because he
found Jesus,
fucking
you
looks
felt
like one.
the leper.
Because
That's
like
a
the
nice
lepers,
story.
he ain't got a fucking
Well, I thought it was
nose.
a good analogy because I felt like for many years I was rejected by society. I was
You were
treated like an
rejected because you
outcast,
chose to
just
be.
like the leper. So I thought it was a good
You were a white
analogy
guy who decided to have your
for me.
fucking
I
decided
agree.
to
It is a really
have
good
surgery
analogy.
to make
What
yourself
other
look
Bible
like
stories do you
fucking
like?
Mickey
so there's the
Rooney
tale
in
of the,
fucking
lost
Breakfast
sheep,
at Tiffany's.
in Luke, the parable of the lost sheep, where a sheep goes missing
A sheep
from a
goes
flock
missing
of
and
100,
Ollie London
and the
bummed it.
shepherd decides should he stay with the flock or should he go and help this sheep, and he actually goes into the wilderness to help the sheep because
I've
he
never
realizes
heard this
that
thing
every
about the
sheep
lost sheep.
is
I
one
fucking
of God's children, so he needs to help
it's
them
probably
and be
true. I
responsible
just
for
don't
them.
care.
Which verse was that? I want to read that one.
Oh, that was
It's in Luke and
that was in
Matthew.
Brian.
Luke and Matthew.
Fucking-
Do you know the number?
I can't give you the exact chapter, but you can look it up.
Of course, it's my
Is there any
favourite
other,
part of the Bible, you know.
Bible
But I
stories
don't know
you
what the
like?
fuck
I'm
it
looking
is.
for good recommendations.
Yeah, there's also when Jesus met a Roman officer, and this Roman officer had a lot of power.
But
But
there's also the
instead
time
of,
when
you know,
Jesus
abusing
released
that
a
power
lunchbox
like
of
many
him
Roman officers did,
doing
he
a
was actually
Hago
kind to his
face as a
servants. He
K-pop
had
star
servants
with his
that were
fingers like that.
captured, from
And he
battles,
sold it to
and they were
all the
working in his
kids.
house, but he treated them the same he treated everyone else. So that's another great analogy that, you know, Jesus looked at people and helped people.
Yeah, but I mean,
helped
this point is
other
he
people,
chose
and,
to
you
be a
know, kindness
leper.
is
He
very
chose
important.
to ostracise
You know, there's
himself
a verse on that one, so I can reference it.
by behaving in
I
a
can't
way
quote it off the
that was
top of my head.
deliberately inflammatory.
But there's a lot of verses in the Bible, there's a lot of chapters that I can
A
tell
lot
you
of stuff in the Bible. It's quite a big book. I don't know if you
Okay.
know this,
I was
Ethan.
just testing you, Ollie.
Pretty
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know.
I was just trying to test you. You know, I was trying to do a fast one on you. Yeah, but I want to ask. You know, if we're talking about protecting kids, it all comes down to protecting kids, right? I mean, this is the thesis I've heard you explain. So, as a Catholic, what do you think poses a greater threat? Drag shows or clergy members?
Clergy
Well,
drag.
actually, there's a lot of,
Well, I mean, both of them
scandals and very bad things that
involve
have happened
geezers
with the
wearing
clergy,
dresses
you know,
and
I'm
lots of
against
spangly
all forms of
jewellery.
abuse. So there's a lot that the Catholic Church has done in the past. There was even a cardinal that I believe he died earlier this year, an Australian cardinal that was accused of some horrific things. And there's a lot of that going
An
on.
Australian
as well, so that needs to be
cardinal,
addressed, and I will
just
call
that
out
geezer.
as well as calling out drag shows that are sexualizing kids, because all forms of child abuse, whether it's in a church, whether it's in a religious organization, or whatever, is wrong.
If
Yes,
you
but
had
you
kids, would you
chose
feel
to
more
be part
comfortable
of the
leaving them at a
organisation.
drag time, story time.
Yeah, you chose
or
to be part
with
of this.
a clergy member.
Yeah.
You know, if I had kids, I would actually be with them all the time. I wouldn't leave them anywhere.
Did you hear
You would
that?
never leave them.
Did you hear that?
No,
If
because,
I had kids,
you know,
I would be with them all the time.
Yeah,
He was
you don't
asked
have
to
to do
choose
it. I'm just
between,
talking
would you leave your
hypothetically.
kids with a
Would you
drag
feel more
queen
comfortable leaving them with
or a load of
clergyman,
clergymen?
a
And he
member of
said, I
the
would be with
Catholic
my
Church
kids
or
all
at
the time.
Bible?
Brilliant.
Sorry, the drag
I'm
queen.
glad you
story
fucking,
time hour.
hopefully you won't have
Again,
any.
neither. I wouldn't want to leave kids
It's
anywhere.
just a theoretical. It's
You
just
wouldn't leave kids,
theoretical.
what, you're not going to leave them at
No,
school?
I get that, but I'm just saying, I would, even if it was, you know,
That's a
leaving
bit
them
Right,
weird.
but you have to choose one. Which one do you trust more?
Well, I wouldn't leave my kid anyway. Like, I wouldn't leave the kid. and I
You
think
wouldn't
parents
leave
have
your
the
kid
duty to
anywhere.
protect
But
their
just
kids and not
theoretically,
leave
which
kids.
one would you choose?
I'm not going to answer that because I
Right.
wouldn't.
I'm not going to answer that question because it's devastating to my
Okay,
fucking
let's put it
case.
this way. There's a dude named Barry. He's got kids. And he goes, I have no choice. I have to leave my kids either with the clergyman or at the drag show. I don't have a choice. Something crazy's happening. They're right next to each other. He says, where do I leave my kids? Where do you think Barry should leave his kids?
Well, again, I wouldn't want to leave kids anywhere.
But Barry doesn't have a choice.
This is,
He
I mean,
doesn't
this
have a
is
choice.
fucking
It's in
bad,
this
man. I mean, this is,
horrible
Ethan, I'm not
how can
married,
he,
so I can't answer that
Well,
question.
he's
I'm not
asking you
married.
for advice.
it's
Quick,
so,
Ollie,
you know,
where should I put
I
my
could
kids?
answer this
You put
question
me on the spot.
quite
You know,
easily.
I wouldn't.
How can you not? How can he not? How can he think? He's basically admitting that he views Catholic priests and clergymen in the same way that he does drag queens. That's what he's admitting now. But he chooses to be a Catholic.
Or even
I mean, that is a devastatingly fucking terrible fucking.
I wouldn't leave the kid anyway. I wouldn't leave the kid at some
weekend. I mean, why would you choose to be part of a religion where you wouldn't leave you wouldn't feel you could trust leaving your kids with the people who are the fucking top geezers, the top G's?
But that's not reasonable. Parents can't always be with their kids. I mean, that's
no. Of course, it's not always reasonable. But I'm just saying
it's not always reasonable. But
because. Look, there are cases that happen, many cases that don't happen, but I'm just saying you've always got
just meaningless. Absolutely, that means nothing. What you just said,
and you say I'd leave them with the Catholic Church. We've talked about the number of kids who are doing irreversible transitioning in America. It's very, very small. We're talking.
It's somewhere between 12, or according to Ollie, 4.5 billion people.
Data. I know you dispute it. You know, there's a recent report that came out in France, and the reason I bring this one up is just because it's the most recent and comprehensive one. Quite disturbing. This came out, I believe, in 2021, called the Independent Commission on Sexual Abuse in the Church.
It's 470,000 pages.
Government commission to look at this openly and honestly and try to figure out what's going on. 2,900 and 3,200 clergy members were involved in sexual abuse of minors during that period in France. It's estimated that they abused around 330,000 kids. Now, if you do a percentage of that, and this
that's 100 kids per clergyman.
Surprising to me. And tell me what you think.
How do they get the time of the day?
Assuming there are around 15,000 to 20,000 clergy members in France at any given time, the percentage of clergymen involved in abuse of minors would be 15 to 20%.
And they're not just regular paedophiles, they're French paedophiles.
In Ireland as well, there was
the worst kind of paedophile.
No, it doesn't matter.
Seems like that affects more kids.
That is equally wrong. Whoever exposes kids, it doesn't matter whether it's
taking your kids to a drag show is equally as bad.
It's equally wrong if someone abuses a kid. So that's what I'm saying here. So if a kid is being abused,
is there any history of a child being abused at a drag show?
No.
When drag shows are sexually explicit,
is that the same as raping them?
That is also child abuse. I'm just saying,
it isn't.
If a drag queen performs a sexually explicit act in front of kids, that is abuse.
If we're worried about the kids, we're looking. You're a member of an organization, which, by my estimate, which again is just an estimate, but 15 to 20% of the clergy members are sexual predators. Why is it that you're focused on the drag shows and not the Catholic Church, when per capita and the volume is way more in the Catholic Church?
Well, the specific organization, Gays Against Groomers, is focused solely on the issue of indoctrinating children, exposing them to sex.
Oh God, it's just again the same. It's the same fucking.
But it's a specific issue. Not every organisation can focus on every issue.
He's got 7 lines of fucking dialogue, and he just pulls a string and repeats it every
within a specific group. And granted, like you said, there are in France, there was in Ireland some horrific cases, and it's
everywhere. It's not just France or Ireland or that one geezer in Australia who died, whose name you can't fucking remember.
Whether a clergy member or not to abuse a child is absolutely wrong.
You
and it should be
fucking demented marrow-faced shitbag.
A little disingenuous when you're going to point, let's say, you've got the whole hotel, a whole building, it's on fire, but in the backyard, there's like a doghouse that's on fire. There's no dog in it, by the way. It's just a small structure. And you're telling the fire department, we need to put out the doghouse fire. Don't worry about the fucking massive apartment building that's on fire. Let's put out the doghouse. To me, that seems like you're focused on the wrong thing. What's the point of focusing on the doghouse when the whole building is on fire, right?
Well, no, I mean, I talk up on my Twitter about all forms of abuse. If there's somebody that
no, he doesn't.
Kids, if there's a news story, I do.
When was the last time you tweeted about a Catholic fucking priest? Sunbeam.
Focuses on a specific subject. But you're right.
I'll tell you when it was. Fucking chocolate bloody bud nuts is when it was.
Light shed on them. 100%.
Are you interested in firearm deaths of kids? Because that's the leading death, actually.
Kids whose arms are on fire. This is
yeah, that's absolutely horrific. What we see every day with schools being shut up. It's absolutely horrifying.
Like kids being groomed by guns.
No, children should be. You know, Ethan, we're on the same page.
We're on the same page. We are not, mate. We ain't on the same page. We ain't on the same book. We ain't even wrote a book. There's no fucking form of
madness. Why is this topic
there is no fucking
so
form of literature that we can cross over on this one.
And there's just these incredibly more pertinent issues. You know, firearm deaths, the leading cause of death in kids, and you're talking about an organization with 15 to 20% of sexual predators, by my estimate. I just don't understand the focus on the drag show. Don't you think that the conservative movement is overly focused on transgender issues?
Well,
and don't you think that sounds a little gay?
There are so many different issues in the world. And, you know,
there are so many different issues in the world.
We have seen a rise in the last few years, a very shocking rise, you know. But equally, the issue of kids in schools, that is horrific. Every kid should be protected and safe going to a school. Just like if a kid is at a church, they should be protected. No child should be.
Yeah, they should be,
abused.
but
you know,
they're
I'm
not.
Specifically focused on one
and you
subject
chose
right
to
now
support and
because,
join one of those organisations.
I've seen the trend. This is my.
It's like a whole right-wing.
It's not that you don't fucking talk about it. It's the disproportionate obsession.
Odd that the entire
that's the fucking point.
Apparatus is focused on trans issues. You find that odd. Why are they all so focused on trans issues?
Well, I mean, they talk about a lot of other issues as well, but what's happening at the moment...
They talk about a lot of other issues. No, they don't!
Right, they talk about a lot of issues, but I think we can all agree that that is, that's kind of the most pertinent for them, right? Even in polls, even in polls, people say trans issues is the most important to them, of conservatives. Why is that?
Well, I mean, correct, because it is a very big subject right now, because we're seeing, you know, every day these news stories
of
children with
it's every day, bro.
Stories at gender clinics. We're seeing, you know, drag queens.
See, drag queens. I can't move. I can't fucking move for this shit.
They're doing very sexually explicit things, and it's become
fucking everywhere.
A recent phenomenon in the last few years, and it's rising every day. So the reason conservatives speak up is because it's a rising issue. They're trying to counter it before it gets even more out of hand, because, you know, we're seeing some very sad things. The Nashville police still haven't released the manifesto, but when Audrey Hale initially shut up that school, they said that
here we go. Here we go. So fucking, you know,
role. They believe there was
that's silly. Because, I mean, a lot of the have I mentioned that you're selling a lunchbox with
how many fucking non-transgender people have committed a mass shooting? One transgender person does a mass shooting, and suddenly that's the fucking issue. But to suggest it would the other way round would be fucking ludicrous.
Let me look at the photos. I mean, this is definitely for kids. It's pretty small. It can't even fit like a little.
Probably keeps going back to the fucking lunchbox.
I mean, these blueberries with monsters next to that. That's certainly for kids, right? Yeah. It's too small for adults. What's that?
No, it's for anyone. Anyone that likes K-pop.
For anyone that likes K-pop.
I like K-pop. I don't fucking like you.
What are they eating for lunch? 5 blueberries?
No, I would buy that because it's.
I wouldn't fucking do a shit in that box.
Wait, you would buy a lunchbox with a trans woman on it? Why would you do that?
It's a K-pop. It's an image of a K-pop. I would buy it because it's cute. You know, I like K-pop.
Well, I mean, do they think? Well, I mean, I don't think he's. To be honest, I don't have any fucking. I don't think he's ever done a live debate before. I imagine after this fucking catastrophe, he won't be doing any again.
Delphine's new merch, interestingly, it looks quite similar to what we're selling.
That's obviously you just.
Oh wait! How dare you accuse me of that? Excuse me, Ollie. I'll have you know that's defamation.
Kind of obvious because it says Elite Squad.
Do you think the New Testament is child appropriate?
Here we go.
Yeah, there's some great teachings in the Bible that it's all about kindness and loving our neighbor.
Roman 1:26 to 27. For this reason, God gave them up to dishonorable passions. For their women exchanged natural relations for those that are contrary to nature. And the men likewise gave up natural relations with women, and were consumed with passion for one another. Men committing shameless acts with men and receiving in themselves the due penalty for their error. Why is it that you feel entitled to be gay when it clearly states
like I said,
Ethan,
like I said earlier, this book was written, you know, a long time ago where ideologies were different. And
Ollie, come on, we can't play that game where you pick and choose the ones you like. That's silly.
You can't interpret every single line and take it as gospel. You have to.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Play that again.
You can't interpret every single line and take it as gospel.
He just said that you cannot read the Bible and take everything as gospel. You cannot read the Bible and take it as gospel. He doesn't even know what the fucking word gospel means. He doesn't know where that phrase comes from, that literally it's referring to the fucking Bible. Like, that is, I mean, that on its own, that should disqualify him. If I was any of the people funding or backing or supporting this cunt, I would fucking bin him. If I weren't ready to bin him already, I would bin him now on that basis. He just said you cannot read the Bible and interpret every line as gospel. Right? That should be on his fucking tombstone. Not that he deserves one. Absolutely, you know, absolutely fucking shocking. Right?
You have to choose the bits that are relevant to modern society and that are relevant to...
Yes, but you don't... How do you know what's relevant?
You're pick the ones you like. I thought God's word was infallible. You can't be like, yo, God, I love you and you're infallible and all. But
I wish Ethan had picked up on that, because I would have just... That would have been the next hour of this. I would have just sat there and gone, gospel! Like, you don't know what the word fucking gospel means!
Timothy 1:9 through 1:10 says, understanding this, the law is not laid down for the just, but for the lawless and disobedient. For the
if I was Ethan, I would have just made up some passages here, just because there's no way he would have fucking known.
Father and mothers, for murderers, the sexually immoral, men who practice homosexuality, enslavers, liars, perjurers, and whatever else is contrary to sound doctrine. What about Corinthians 6:9? Or do you not know that the unrighteous will not inherit the kingdom of God? Do not be deceived. Neither the sexually immoral, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor men who practice homosexuality, nor thieves, nor the greedy, nor drunkards, nor revilers, nor swindlers will inherit the kingdom of God. There's a lot of lines that speak against homosexuality, but not a lot of lines that speak against
it sounds like a fucking Reddit thread to me.
Transgender, you should be more concerned about
talking about thousands of years ago. Bollocks, it's fucking Twitter.
That seems to be a great sin.
Well, again, like I told you, you don't have to interpret every single thing.
You don't have to. It's only the Bible. It's not gospel.
This was written in a time society.
Okay, let me ask you this then.
So you can't interpret every single word, but you can choose parts of the Bible that are relevant to you and the modern society and learn from them, like kindness, which is a very important message.
You don't need the Bible to teach people kindness. It's fucking, it's simple. It existed before.
No, but I think adults have a responsibility to help that child's mental health support. So whether that's therapy sessions,
if a child is suicidal, do you believe it's okay for them to transition?
The hatred of his parents fucking here is coming through, because he clearly feels this. I reckon this is the basis for a lot of this. He just fucking, his parents disowned him, and quite rightly so. And this is why he feels the need to fucking go on about this.
Kids are suicidal because of their gender
whinging pity party.
That's a real issue.
But Ethan, what I'm trying to say is, if you put a vulnerable kid that's already struggling with a mental health on very high doses of hormones or puberty blockers,
no.
That is only
that's after they decide. That's after they decide. This kid is suicidal. The only way to save their life, as you hear from a lot of people, is to help them transition. What is wrong with that?
No, correct. You hear that a lot, but...
Correct, you hear that a lot.
Has a child transitioning ever saved a child's life?
Well, you need to address the mental health issues. If a kid is...
Answer the fucking question!
Transitioning?
Yeah.
Yes, of course, there will be cases where...
So if it saved even one child's life, then where do you get off preventing this from happening? You say one child's all that matters. If you can admit to me that a child transitioning saved their life, even one of them, why would you support a movement that outlaws it? You support legislation that makes it illegal. Why is that?
Because firstly, these are kids, they cannot consent to this. They just
oh, God almighty.
Consequences. But you don't look at what happens later down the line, Ethan, like 6 years down the line.
We got to stick on this point. You said that transitioning has saved a child's life. Let's forget about all the other static. Let's forget about all the other static. Why is it that you would want to outlaw a medical procedure that saved a child's life? That's not kind, is it?
No, you have to support the kids' mental health, but you cannot put them on hormones.
Do you believe that it should be illegal? Do you believe that it should be illegal for kids to transition?
I believe for medical transitions, it should be 18 plus, yes.
Even if the kid is going to kill himself, as you admitted, it saved the child's life. You said that. So you believe this kid should kill themselves rather than transition?
Absolutely not. Don't try to put words in my mouth. Kids need mental health.
I wouldn't put anything in your fucking mouth.
I'm just trying to reconcile. You are
fucking end of a shotgun, maybe.
That transitioning saved the kid's life, and also
what there is left of it.
Transitioning shouldn't be allowed until they're 18 plus. So this child has no recourse other than to kill themselves in this hypothetical situation we've created.
In this hypothetical situation, instead of that.
See, now this is actually, again, this is actually quite an easy argument to get out of. If he, but he's just,
again, I don't want to focus
he is
on
a
the
uniquely
static,
stupid individual. I didn't realise till I watched this how fucking stupid Ollie is.
Let's stay focused here, Ollie.
He really is not a fucking sharp guy.
You're telling that kid you cannot get that procedure. That's correct?
I'm saying that kids can't consent to this. Kids need better mental health support, so there should be a focus on
18 mental health. You're saying this kid cannot get the procedure that saved his life. That's what you're saying.
I'm saying that 18 plus for all procedures on kids, because kids cannot consent, so they need mental health support instead.
Right. So the kid would kill himself.
Can they consent to mental health support? Oh wait, no, they can't, can they?
It saves kids' lives, Ollie. Don't you understand? You're not making sense.
I'm saying that there will be some kids that may feel better and feel like their life is saved.
No. You agreed with me, Ollie, just a few minutes ago that transitioning has saved kids' lives.
Oh, like anything in life, it can save lives, but also
like anything in life, for fuck's sake.
Well, a lot of people will become suicidal later down the line because their body is completely.
This is that Simpsons meme, isn't it? Except I'm not saying stop. He's already dead. I'm like, keep going. Bring him back to life. Then kill him again.
I'm saying that it's informed consent. Kids can't consent. If a kid is feeling that way,
kids can't consent to anything. What are we doing? We're not allowing them to. Kids can't consent to go to church. Kid can't consent to go to school.
Can't consent to having his fucking priest dick in his ass.
We as parents make the best decision we can.
Yeah, you're right, Stephen.
The kid, don't you agree? I mean,
look how much. Look at his face. I mean, this motherfucker spent more time in a surgery than
in their lives every day.
Most junior doctors. So he's bound to have picked up something.
Do you think that wanting
I've done no research.
I've done no research. Gender dysphoria, which is a known medical condition.
I'm saying that some kids.
You said it's like kids wanting to be dinosaurs, Ollie. I don't understand the comparison.
Well, no, it
make fun of trans people, Stu. No, not like that.
To make these decisions.
We meant make fun of their hats.
A dinosaur is comparable to being.
He's now using a kid wanting to be a dinosaur. Well, guess what? You can't be a dinosaur, can you, Ollie? That's not a thing. You can't transition into being a dinosaur. I bet you wish you fucking could. This is just fucking. Oh God.
Well, we're talking about theoretical. We're talking about theoretical situations.
The kid doesn't make the decision, Justin. No one's making that argument. The kid, and no one's going to make, and no one's going to recommend that the kid has a limb removed. It's not that kid's decision. The doctor comes to the conclusion. You know that. Come on, Justin. Don't fucking insult my intelligence with this crap.
As far as I know, maybe you could correct me saying I'm a dinosaur.
It's not the kid that makes that decision.
Yeah, I'm saying, the kids want different things. They don't understand.
I could go to the doctors and say, could you cut my limbs off? It would make me happier. Guess what? He wouldn't do it because that wouldn't happen.
I'm saying this. Why won't you give me definitive answers?
Well, I'm equating it. You know what? It is the same. If a child wants to be a dinosaur, you don't cut off their
it's the same
body part.
How did they get on the floor?
It's the same as medically transitioning a child and giving them surgery.
Good. I'm glad you said that. Gender dysmorphia is a known medical condition. Is there any literature about transitioning to be a dinosaur?
It's dysphoria as well.
Right, but you said it's the same. But clearly it's not, right? Because
I'm equating a kid.
Is accepted.
I'm equating a kid. Sorry, I'm equating a kid identifying in a different way. You don't just suddenly say, if a kid feels a certain way, oh, we're going to do this operation, we're going to give you hormones. Kids
of course that doesn't happen, Ollie.
That doesn't happen. Do it as an adult.
That doesn't happen. You have a child who's experiencing gender dysmorphia so severe that they're going to kill themselves. Dysphoria, excuse me. They're undergoing panels and doctors and stuff. And this kid, we know, and this has happened, either we intervene or the child kills themselves. What's your decision?
most kids grow out of gender
That's not what I asked. Why can't you answer? Most kids do not grow out of gender dysmorphia. That's a small number of them, and 99% who get the operations.
Is that even true? I don't even know if that's true. People grow out of it.
If
Ollie London clearly grew out of it.
Going to kill itself unless it gets gender-affirming care. What is your decision? Give them the treatment or not?
No, you give them mental health support instead. You do not.
No.
Can I just go back and just remind you that he said the Bible should not be taken as gospel? Can we go back to that?
Do you let them get the treatment, or
I feel we need to revisit that and never let it fuck it off.
So they kill themselves.
He said,
"No,
how is that kind, Ollie? How is that kind that you're letting children kill themselves instead of letting them get gender-affirming, life-saving care?" Which,
my battery on my phone is about to die, and I can't charge it because the microphone's plugged in. So it's nearly over. So there you go. Yeah, I'm gonna end the show here. That was a lot of fun. Yes, my full video on Ollie will be coming back, and at some point soon. You can look forward to that, or you can just take everything you've seen here and just you probably don't watch it anyway and like it and do anything else. But other than that, I'm going to go. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed it. I will see you all again soon. The Bible's not gospel. What an absolute weapon.